Tell us about the tattoos.
Shut the fuck up, you little prick.
But then I've got the Phoenix.
Hey, prick.
So I'll take it from Bob every day of the week.
Absolute disgrace.
That's your knowing or mine.
Move him out of here, Derek.
Ricky Hatton didn't go over for his fighter because he risked getting abducted and sold into sexual
I never said that.
Both have been rape victims. I'm not watching Frank Buglioni live on a Saturday night. You're out of your mind.
Jesus Christ, get yourself a life.
He's actually a priest.
Yeah.
It's because his brother John Fury eye gouged him.
What have I told you all this time? He's going to end up sucked out, fucked out, looking for a handout.
Boxing, nutters, messenger group. I'm gonna be the king.
J-Pump, you know what I'm saying?
Welcome, everyone, to episode 458 of the Boxing Nutters Sex Slavery Experience. I'm your host, Matt DiGianardo. With us are Andy Patterson and Steve Wellings. That intro has me hacking here because I was coughing while taking a drink simultaneously.
Choking on your own jokes here, Matt.
No, Donnie's comment murdered me there, and
fucking bong you're smoking.
I'm gonna have to listen to this freaking intro a few more times because you killed me, Steve. Well done. We appreciate everybody for joining us today, and appreciate everybody who's gone and rated us on Spotify after I begged you to do as much you have in spades, and we appreciate all of you for doing that. And if you want to rate us at some other place, we very much appreciate that too. There was not a whole lot going on, unless you're a member of the Gary Russell family. Steve, they're down a foot, down an arm, and down a belt, with Mark Magsayo taking the majority decision over Gary and ending his 6-year title reign of, 5 defenses, whatever it was.
Yeah, Gary's footwork being called into question. I'm glad you went there before I did, Matty. But last week, another L for me. I had Magsayo winning pretty comfortably, actually, on the night by a fairly comfortable margin. I think he started strong and he finished strong. And Russell, he's tough, isn't he? Like, he gritted it out. He had the injury. He did okay during the middle rounds, but I don't really necessarily see a case for him winning. As I said last week, I thought Russell would win the fight handily, but as the issues with his old man came to light and the foot and the amputation, then he had this mystery injury he was talking about and failing to make the weight. It seemed like he was going to have some trouble, and whenever they stood face to face at the beginning in the ring, Magsayo just looked so much bigger, and Russell's hand speed wasn't as much of a factor as usual because Magsayo's hands were pretty fast too. And Russell was getting his shots off, but Magsayo was fast enough to counter him, especially to the body. And then afterwards, in that interview, Russell said, I dished out a boxing lesson. I'm a soldier. I'll be back. I don't doubt his toughness, but it was difficult enough getting him active and in the ring when he was winning. Now he's lost. I can hardly see him rushing back unless he just cashes out now. Maybe moves off a weight or two, puts a bit of weight on, takes some big fights, and you're thinking this could be the last of Gary Russell, only there's about another 14 of them waiting in the wings, so I don't think we're seeing the last of Gary Russell for a while. Keep the family name running. He's been out for the ring for 2 years. Might never see him again.
We might not. I expect if we do, it could very well be in a rematch because he came close to winning that fight with one arm. I didn't think he won it. I had it pretty close to where the judges are. I think he might have even swung at 116, 112 for Magsayo in a pinch. But Andy, it was, for me, it kind of reminded me of Casimiro Rigondeaux, where he just getting in these single shots, and the margin between the two fighters was just so slim. You kind of had to give the rounds to the guy who was working.
Yeah, it's like that old saying, you've got to kind of like give it to the front foot fighter, because you could clearly see afterwards at round 4, Russell was in severe problems with the right hand. Congrats to Magsayo, I guess, as such, and that, but this just goes to show inactivity, or inactive fighters not getting beat is good for boxing, because this, I've got no sympathy, absolutely zero. 2 years off, how often do you get fighters coming out saying, like, fight week, stating that, I've got a slight injury, I've had problems during the camp and that. When I heard the comments say, last week and that his dad was severely ill, had his leg amputated, and then obviously he's talking about being injured and that, missing weight. I know it's only half a pound, but come on, and he didn't look in great shape as well in that ring. Say they couldn't spar, probably couldn't train properly in that as well, actually, if the shoulder's been injured for a number of weeks, he said, at least. So he's running that fight knowingly that he's injured, and I know what happens to fighters, etc., and that. But Magsayo couldn't really kind of like, as such, dominate a one-arm fighter. I thought he was missing a fair number of shots. Steve said he was working the body pretty well, landed a good few uppercuts and that as well. But fair play to him as well. He took care of his business. But as for Russell, man, I say I've got no sympathy whatsoever. He's just one of these entitled fighters who turns up, whatever it is, every 12, 24 months. I mean, you've had more presidents, Matty, and he's had title defences in the last few years, for Christ's sake. That's how fucking bad it is. So, no, say, look, fair play to Magsayo. He's done well there. He's took his opportunity in that. But, I also think with him winning, it doesn't make the division any better or anything like that, to be honest with you. He's fighting Ray Vargas next. I mean, he's fucking Ray Vargas, man. Jesus Christ. You got Santa Cruz still stuffing about there as well, so there's a few paydays for him in that as well. Navarrete, I would probably recommend he stays well clear of for the meantime anyway. In that,
Good thing Navarrete's with Top Rank, isn't he? So ain't happening.
Yeah, I suppose.
You wonder. So the way it would actually shape out, and is at this point is Leo Santa Cruz would technically be the champion, who is and the winner of Conlan and Wood is supposed to fight Leo. And if that happens, I mean, you could definitely see a Magsayo Santa Cruz unification happening.
Without doubt.
That's not a bad fight. I actually would have to take Magsayo just because he's younger and he feels the weight a little bit better. I kind of.
Oh, he's big for the weight. Magsayo's huge. He's a big kid for the weight. I mean, just to kind of finish off my point on Gary Russell and that. I mean, look, fair play to him as well. He showed he's still got a wee bit left in him and that. He's slipping a lot of those shots, fighting off the one hand and that. So fair play to him. He just needs to get healthy and get active. That's all it is. That's all it is. He's talking about earlier in the week there about fighting 2-3 times, this year and that. Well, that's up in smoke. He's going to need surgery by the sounds of it and that. So just need to see what he comes back with. But as for Santa Cruz and that, yeah, look, that is probably something the PBC can probably get made if that's something maybe would be later half of this year, possibly. Not, as you say, depend what happens with Wood and Conlan in regards to injuries after they're fighting it. So it's a lot of things could go wrong, or whatever in that situation. Just need to wait and see. But as I said, Magsayo, fair play to him. Russell, I'll give him credit in that as well, but I've got no sympathy in that. As I says, this is what happens if you're no active and just turning up once every year, 2 years, and that, and expecting just to kind of do enough to kind of keep winning your title. I think at the end of the day, in that, Loma's probably taken a bit out of him, that he's like, right, okay, I'm getting paid okay, I can turn up once a year, make my mandatory defence, and I can come back again in that. But it's just, again, it just catches up with you. So just hark back to it. These fighters have got to be active, and if you're not active, this is what happens. You get complacent, you miss weight, you fight injured, and you either continue to fight injured or you lose your belt. So he took the chance and he paid the price.
James Windsor throwing a 179 into the super chat there, says, great knock by Magsayo. Fuck Swansea Football Club. Cha. There you go. Thank you, James, for your 179. We do appreciate that. Anybody else feels like giving, we do appreciate everybody in the super chat, and we also appreciate all of our Patreons as well. You can check out our punches from the past series on there. Steve, I got to tell you that I think it's just good for competition in the featherweight division that Gary Russell doesn't have a belt anymore. I think that's the one thing that that everyone is basically in agreement on, that there's just better chances for good fights now that Gary Russell Jr. isn't driving the car.
Yeah, I agree with that. I was going to make that same point myself, actually. He's a good fighter, Russell. I know we all slag him and have a go at him, but he takes on his mandatories. He fights people. He's fast. He's skillful. He showed his toughness. I wasn't a major fan of coming out with the injury beforehand, and then especially during the second or third round when the doctor came over and he was putting the pressure on the right hand. It kind of felt like he was posting his excuses ahead of time, whether he was injured or not. But I mean, it is what it is, as Porky would say. So that's that. And Russell's lost the belt now, and at least it's going to become more active. Magsayo, I don't completely rate him. I think he's a good fighter. He can clearly punch. He has his limitations. He has his issues. Abner Mares on the Showtime card broadcast at the end was saying a bit of constructive criticism, and I can't even remember what the criticism actually was, but he said, look, Magsayo has to improve on a few things, and I think he does. But the fact that he's jumped in, got the WBC belt, that's going to open things up now, and there's more chance of making unification fights. So off you go, Gary Russell. Long live Magsayo fighting against these guys. And just to bring you back in, Matty, shout out to Des as well, long time listener to the pod, for this mammoth little windfall he's thrown our way.
Yes, thank you very much, Des, throwing in 52 pounds. Says, year's money, pound a week. Sundays wouldn't be the same. Thanks for what you're doing, lads. Best wishes. And thank you, Des. We appreciate your loyalty, and we appreciate your £1 a week very much. It all adds up so very much. Think about that. It's like having $1 a week subscription to the Asylum. I think that's a win for everybody. Don't you, Andy? That's value. That's better than getting the Sunday paper.
I mean, that's better than getting $100 free bet than fucking spending it on Gary Russell Jr. to win the fight.
Suck my dick. It wasn't Gary to win the fight. It was the fight to not go the distance.
Doesn't matter. He still bet on it.
Why did he should have quit? That's why his shoulders fucked up. He should have quit in the middle of the fight. Would have been great for me.
Yeah, I can't do that, mate. I mean, I've seen someone in the chat saying that's actually a very good point. Make an excuse, pre-fight, so if he wins, he looks like a kind of hero, warrior type thing, and if he loses, he's already got a built-in excuse. But as I say, name of the game, though, isn't it? It's a hurt game. You're there to hurt your opponent. Fighters fight injured all the time, broken noses, broken jaws, even during fights, and that. Somehow they've got to find a way to keep going. And the fair play to Russell, he found a way to kind of see out the fight and that.
I think if his arm gets healed up, I'd have to take him in a rematch because I mean he came close enough.
Was he specific in what the injury was? Was it like rotator cuff?
A tendon. He said he had a tendon in his right arm, and it's been bothering him since the Olympics in 2008.
Yeah. And they told him they told him to get surgery at the time, but he said no. And then they agreed that he could build up the muscle around the tendon to strengthen it. But now apparently it's come back again.
Right. Okay. 14 years.
So there you go. And that was probably the most boring fight on the main part of that Showtime card there. A good welterweight scrap with Subriel Matias being a much better boxer than he would be a sous chef, dropping an onion in the 9th round on the way to the retirement in the corner when there was no way for him to follow the doctor's finger. Steve, this is a good scrap, good comeback from Matias from the rematch, which he lost by UD. And you got to think the kid's in some fun fights. I'm not saying the sky's the limit, but there's definitely some entertainment coming from this guy.
Oh, absolutely. I think he can be vulnerable. He showed in the first fight against Ananya and that, but he's going to be an exciting guy going forward. 18-1 with 18 knockouts. And afterwards he says, I don't think I'm much of a puncher. And Jim Gray was like, well, you're 18-1 and all 18 by knockout. So what's going to happen when you do become a puncher? But he righted the wrongs here. Ever since that first loss to Ananyan, which I remember, he started out like a freight train that night, throwing lots of shots. He had him hurt. And I think Ananyan dropped him, and Matias started to badly tire. Couldn't get out the way of the jab, couldn't get out the way of the left hook. I think it was on the World of Fury undercard. I remember watching it. And eventually he lost the decision, but he's come back since then. And of course, he had the Dadashev incident as well, which came to haunt him. That was only the Ananyan fight was only 2 fights after that when Dadashev passed away, so that was probably weighing on his mind as well. Came back against Malik Hawkins, made him quit after 6 rounds, gave him a beating. He was undefeated, 18-0, then beat another 18-0 fighter, Jukumbayev, the little southpaw guy, put a beating on him. He retired in the 8th round. So he's gone 6-8 and now retirement in the 9th. So he just keeps on beating the shit out of people. And I think he's learnt the lesson from that Ananyan one. And I haven't looked at the rankings, but they mentioned on the night that he didn't really have to take this. He was kind of working himself up nicely. And he was putting his ranking and his position within the sport at 29 years old at risk here. Because if he'd have lost this rematch, then he would have been up shit creek and disappear off somewhere maybe as an opponent, but he didn't. He says, I've confidence in the ability to change things round, to get my stamina sorted out, my durability. I'll go over 12 this time instead of 10. And he's done a great job. So I haven't looked at the rankings, like I say, to see who's next or where he's highly rated or not. But I don't think he's the best fighter in the world, but he's going to be a fun ride watching him, Matty, from Puerto Rico. He can definitely punch. He showed that his engine's improved. He's not afraid to go in against undefeated guys. It's going to be an exciting ride seeing Matias going up the ratings here.
Yeah, and with being with PBC, there's just so much talent at 147 pounds that he will end up having a chance to fight. So there's some good matches to be made there. And thinking about it, Andy, I maybe that heavyweight slugfest earlier in the year that the ref fucked up, but I kind of have to say that this is the fight of the year at this point in time.
Well, there's not much to pick for, mate, to be honest.
I know. But it's the front runner.
Hang on, what about those two heavyweights, Kiladze and the other guy?
That's what I was saying. But the ref kind of fucked that up, Steve, and I think that left a bad enough taste in my mouth. I wouldn't move for that one.
Yeah, that's true.
But it was a good scrap. Better than Russell Jr. fight. Did you at least find yourself entertained?
Yeah, I did, mate. To be honest, it was a good fight. As says to you guys, that's before we came on air. And I wanted to see him. Obviously, says Onion was really kind of marked up, swelt and stuff, and he was really taking a bit of trimming actually. And I'm saying to myself, right, look, this is where we need to see Matias now step it in and stop the fight, because obviously you just don't know about the ghosts of the Dadjev fight. Has he still got that instinct to, to hurt and drop and stop his opponent and that? And I don't know if it is a problem going forward and that, but it says he's certainly got all the tools now. He's got decent hand speed, good combinations and that. I just a bit just nags at me. I just don't think he's elite, but I think he has got it in him. I mean, obviously, I don't take him to beat Taylor at this point. And again, it would depend what happens with the belts in the next year or so.
Be some fight, wouldn't it? That though, against Taylor.
It would. And I'm just trying to think about other names. Remember the guy that knocked out Ritson?
Ponce.
Ponce. I think that would be a good fight as well.
Yeah, he's highly rated. Imagine them two. I just looked at the rankings there.
IBF,
he's one,
mate.
Ponce, and Matias is two. Imagine them squaring off for the winner to fight Taylor. That'd be class.
Yep. And another thing as well, Progre's looking for an opponent. He's bitching he doesn't get. I don't know if he's come to 147.
But this is PBC.
Progre is kind of like working with the PBCs, Or is he with Probellum now?
He was doing DAZN prior. I don't know if he's in anything sound.
DiBello as well. I think he's signed with everybody, isn't he? Just seeing what sticks to the wall.
Yeah, I'd like to see Matias against Mean Machine. I think that's a fight. And he floats, so you never know where that guy ends up.
Well, suppose at this point it'd probably be an ideal test, but Kavalauskas has been. Just wonder if he's definitely on the downslide now and that. But I was thinking more along the line of Postol. As well, but
we'll be getting a Postol here later, Andy. I guess you didn't see the news.
Nah, has he not been ordered for some sort of eliminator or something?
Yeah, we'll get to that here shortly, but yeah, the Postol has his dance card currently filled at least through February, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, we'll get to that. But there's so much at 147 pounds that PBC has. It's almost even hard to list it. Maybe they'll feed him to Boots. Boots was in the audience. They need to keep him busy. He said he's supposed to be back in March or April.
Yeah, but they're looking more along the lines of eliminators, title fights, and that. I'm still hopeful maybe the Avanesyan fight gets announced for him actually. I know Neil Marsh was really pushing for it.
Avanesyan at least deserves a good dance partner. You talk about a guy who's earned a shot at a shot. It's definitely him.
Were you talking about Matias going up to fight Boots?
Yeah.
No, see, I can't see them doing that, because why would they feed such a prime asset like that, who's like ranked top 3 with the IBF, for a chance at a fight at super lightweight, upper level, to feed him to Ennis, who's in line for his own shot at welterweight?
Is he ranked at 140?
Yeah.
Oh, because last night was at 147 pounds. So pardon my confusion there.
All right.
He's definitely ranked at 140, mate. Two, but he says he's ranked quite high with IBF. That's one of the reason I mentioned that Ponce fight. Guy knocked out Ritson. Big punch in Argentina.
The weights last night, he come in at 140 and a quarter against the Nanyan, and Nanyan come in at 141. So Oh, I don't know what's going on there.
Technically a welterweight fight, mate, but ultimately, we know what weight divisions they guys are.
There you go. That's why
Boots would
specifics
fucking
matter, right?
Boots would annihilate him, man, to be honest with you. Fucking size of that guy, he's huge for fucking welterweight.
Well, that's why I was thinking. That's why I thought it was it's 140 pounds. That's a different story, right? But I mean, Taylor's going up. I mean, so that's out.
I don't know, mate. You know, it depends on the politics. That says Josh Taylor, I believe, is WBO titleist. Now, if he goes up to 147, I'm sure he goes in as number one contender. But you got Virgil Ortiz, who's meant to be number one contender up there.
Boots will end up at middleweight, Andy. I think at least middleweight, maybe super middle at some point.
Fucking mutiny a boy that like. But I'll tell you one thing. I was disappointed in his comments last night, saying that he felt that Gary Russell got robbed. Robbed, he said. I was like, fucking dude, come on. Maybe disappointing in your comments there.
But he caught on the hop though, because I saw Jim Gray interviewing him during one of the fights, and I thought he was stuttering and stammering all over the place when he's usually quite a confident speaker. So maybe if he gets caught on the hop or something, he's not as cool and comfortable as you think. Well, or any of us, I suppose. So maybe it was just like a bit of nervous energy or something, Andy.
Yeah, going on at the beginning of mainstream telling. I mean, it's different for a YouTuber like walking up to you with a camera and that compared to Jim Gray coming up to you, because Jim Gray expects professionalism for you and that, So.
Well, before his own fights, he's all in the zone. He knows what he's talking about, but maybe he's just not as coherent. I did notice that during one of the other fights, so that could be the factor.
But as you say, maybe he's just been caught in the hop now. Jim's appeared at his side, little like, oh, listen, we're going to go online for 30 seconds. Any chance of just a brief couple of comments now? You're like, right, okay, fuck I.
Supporting his mate and all. Yeah.
Rabbit in the headlights type thing.
Yeah, maybe.
Joe Burns throwing in what is that, 79 pence there?
Yep,
my favorite.
Well, that get you, Matty. What would 79 pence get you, Matty, where you live?
It's probably $1, so I mean, I could.
You wouldn't even get mugged for fucking that, man.
I might be able to get a hamburger some places for that much. There's still drive-thrus that have a $1 hamburger sometimes.
Needs to hang out with theirs, Joe Burns, a bit more, I think.
I've got to see the ingredients in that $1 hamburger you're going to get me. Like,
but Andy, if he does this for 52 weeks, I mean, you're talking about like 40 pounds at that point in time.
Aye.
Yeah.
40 pounds of intense beef.
Anyhow,
stop banging that bong, you.
I'm laughing. So excuse me. 126-pound fight on that card. Actually fought at 128 since the opponent came in on short notice with King Tug Nyambar coming to a draw after looking like he was going to take out Sakaria Lucas early. This African fighter, Steve, was pretty damn tough. Had good variety in his punches. And he should have won the fight because he wasn't credited with a knockdown off of a very clean jab in the 8th round. King Tug was tremendously lucky to get away with a draw on this short notice opponent. And I don't know where he goes from here because that was kind of a confidence-sucking performance.
Yeah, I was praising the PBC last week for making the fight between King Tug and Vic Pasilas, which I think would have been a good fight. And I like the way they keep bringing Tug back again, but after all those fights, motoring on early, knocking people out, after the Russell fight, he's kind of struggled. I know he went up to fight Colbert and he could clearly punch and he gave his all. But in this one, I was surprised. I think on tonight, if Pasillas had fought him, then he probably would have beaten him. But whenever they put up the motion caption, I thought to myself, who's this Sakaria Lucas? He wasn't meant to be fighting him. So I hadn't realised that Pasillas had pulled out for whatever reason. Lucas had jumped in. He was 37 years old. His only loss was to Isaac Avalar, but he'd gone the distance. And it wasn't looking too good for him. This Namibian guy, he'd come from South Africa at really short notice. He'd had to get a 30-hour flight over, so he was going to be a bit drained. And then after the second round, they were in his corner, and someone in his corner appeared to be questioning whether he was going to carry on. And they seemed like they wanted to pull him out, and there was a bit of confusion and discussion as to whether he'd even go on. But once he got that jab going, powering through, Tug looked really one-dimensional and slow, and Lucas was fairly coming on. And you're right, in that 8th round, that would have been the difference. If he'd have called that a knockdown, which it clearly was, there was like a jab come hook, had knocked him down, and Eddie Claudio. Now, afterwards, they tried to get the referee to change his mind on camera. They kind of ambushed the referee a little bit, Jim Gray, Eddie Claudio. And it was a difficult situation because you had the crowd baying for blood. If he changes his mind live on camera, it suddenly opens up a whole can of worms about the decision, because that was the difference between the draw and Lucas winning. The 8th round was a definite knockdown, But I'm not necessarily a fan of that post-fight interview of the referee without giving him a chance to look back over it before going on camera to explain. They were like, "You've made a mistake here. Have a look at it and tell us what you think." And Claudio doubled down on his decision. He didn't want to let on that he'd been fooled. He wanted to make sure that he let everybody know that he'd made the right decision when he clearly hadn't. We could all see that he hadn't. But I didn't like that. I don't think they should have done that to the referee, and it was a bit of bad form. But definitely a knockdown. Lucas should have done well, but this was the story of Tug, really. Where does he go from here? He's going to be fodder for pretty decent fighters coming up and champions and stuff. But I don't know. John Pullman in his corner was saying, go out and give us a big 9th or a big 10th, whatever it was. And can you do that? Can you do that? And he just looked a bit listless. And I think Tug might have taken a few too many shots over the years, and he's definitely on the slide. So Lucas, yeah, he can come again, unlike Jade. But Tug, the story of Tug on the slide, I think this one.
Yeah, it's just nothing there. It was really disappointing performance from a guy who's typically put in some very energetic evenings in the ring whenever we've seen him before. So that was surprising. But we will see where it comes back. I personally wouldn't mind a rematch on that one, Steve. I think it was just interesting enough to warrant it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Get them back in again together. Give Lucas a bit of notice this time. He's clearly in good shape. They're happy to bring him back. He's done 2 10-rounders now and given a good of account of himself in both fights. I would imagine. I can't remember seeing the Avalar fight, but yeah, get him back, get them in a rematch, and we'll see if this was just a one-off for Tug with a change of opponent or whether he really is slipping. I remember against Cabaya Breedy in a previous fight, he dropped him a couple of times early, and Breedy just kept on pitching and got back into the fight and tightened it right up again. So this is an ongoing problem for Tug. Get him in against Lucas and see how he looks, because if he loses or he looks on the slide anymore, then this could be the end of him. But he's had a good career, and PBC have looked after him, rightly so.
Yeah, PBC does look after their fighters, and that's why they keep being able to produce these good cards, is because people actually want to go and fight for Al Heyman. It's amazing. You treat people right, they want to work for you. It's a fucking miracle. So anyways,
Joe Burns is treating us right as well, though, Matty.
Yeah, Joe Burns throwing in 449 this time. Thank you very much, Joe. I hope you didn't feel shamed into that in any way, shape, or form. I appreciate everything that comes in. Andy tries to make people feel bad, though, because he's a very angry person on the inside. And he didn't even watch this fight. He had 3 fights to watch, and he didn't watch this one. So feel free to shame Andy in the chat. That's all up to you guys. I totally understand if you want to do that. But anyways, I would like to thank the people in the chat. We have Ryan Pettit, Sad Ken, Jack WD, Sublime Toya, Chris Burns, Maximus Jenkins. Do you wanted to shout out? Well, there you go, Maximus Jenkins, Ricky Gravel, Mark Stanton, JB, Stewarty Dulles, High Guard Plotter, Johnny Equine Phallus Nelson. Touch us on that one, you censoring fucks. Jimmy Tappy, M. Lithgow, Adam Hughes, and also Joe Burns, James Windsor, and Dez, who have already thrown into the super chat today. We appreciate you very, very much for your support and just for hanging out with us on a Sunday evening or a Sunday afternoon. Be at what side of the pond you are on. There's currently a football game that has just started. I need one of these underdogs to score. Pray to the God of your choosing. Anyhow,
what game is that like?
The
Nigeria Tunisia game.
No, the Buccaneers against the Rams just started. So Andy, that card we alluded to, and I talked about Postol's dance card being filled up on February 26th. So on this side of the pond, after we get to watch the Taylor Catterall fight, we're going to be able to watch Chris Colbert against Rogers Gutierrez for the WB 130-pound scrap for the belt. We have Jerwin and Kajas against Fernando Daniel Martinez, undefeated at this point in time. And also the undefeated Gary Antoine Russell taking on Victor Postol. This Russell is 14-0 with 14 knockouts. So that is going to be an interesting card coming up there on the 26th on this side of the pond. And Andy, that's a good little test for Gary Antoine, and the Russells aren't very lucky right now. You think he can stem the tide of this hell that they've been going through, put forth by the gods above?
Again, it depends what Postol's got left, mate. To be honest with you, I mean, we know what he is. He's straight up. He's good jab, okay right hand, very, very cagey. He is hard to beat, or he's definitely kind of hard to kind of fucking knock out anyway and keep him there. So yeah, it certainly at this point in his career anyway, it's a good test for Russell. Again, I just want to see if post what he's got left. I know he's still got highly rated. And that. Has Russell got a belt by any chance? No.
No, I imagine this is the life for somewhere up the rankings though.
Right. So he's really kind of like taking a risk really with his own ranking basically as well. So,
well, you know, I mean, when you're Al Heyman, you produce a title shot for your fighters when you want one, right?
Yeah.
You kind of got that kind of muscle.
Who else you got? You said Chris Colbert against who?
Rogers Gutierrez.
Colbert's a good fighter. Just not got the power. Decent
That's the interest.
Yeah. Good speed in that. That, if I can recall, Gutierrez, is that? Who's he fought again?
He fought Rene Alvarado and DAZN, I think, Andy. Yeah. Well, was that one of... Well, it wasn't Canelo, was it? It might have been one of the Virgil Ortiz undercards. It was pretty uneventful, quite a close one. And Alvarado, he's okay. I think, didn't he beat Andrew Cancio at one point? That WBA super featherweight title that's floating about. So you'd imagine Colbert, even though he's not a big puncher, he'll have the skills to keep Gutierrez off him, I think.
Yeah, hopefully. Well, I'm not saying hopefully, but yeah, you think so. Just wonder what kind of knockout ratio Gutierrez has got in that, because it's one thing we need to see some of these these supposed guys coming up, and that belt holders, that need to get tested when we get the chin checked and that. But who else in the card, mate?
And then you had Jerwin and Cajas against Fernando Daniel Martinez, who I don't know anything about, Andy, but he is undefeated, so a little bit unknown. And and Cajas he's fun, but he definitely is vulnerable. There's something lacking there that he just doesn't have the oomph for me to be excited. I mean, he's defended a belt a handful of times, if I can't recall.
Yeah, it'll been great, to be honest with you, mate. I think a lot of people have been kind of switched off some of his defences and that. I mean, apart from the likes of, obviously, he came over here, fought Conlan, I can recall. We had the fight against an opponent that Roman Gonzalez fought not long ago as well. And defences.
He took that big Funai, didn't he, Andy, on ESPN, the Japanese guy? Give him a beating.
Was that? I'm trying to remember that one now.
That was a couple of years ago now. He's the Conlan fight. I thought he was going to be like, not the next big thing, but I was really looking forward to seeing how his career would pan out, and he just died a death, man.
Yeah, I know, it's another Bob situation as well. You know, I don't know if he's still with Bob, actually, to be honest with you, but he's like that one slide. I don't know if Cajas is hooked up with MP Promotions and that as well. So no surprise he's kind of getting tied in with Al Heyman and that as well, because obviously Magsayo, Manny Pacquiao did some business with Al Heyman and that, so he's probably took the opportunity to try and get his fighters some airtime in that as well. But in Cajas, mate, it says it's many folk would have said that he's probably the kind of weaker champions at super flyweight and that compared to the rest. I was talking about super flyweight. I see Estrada against Gonzalez has been postponed because of COVID.
Fuck off.
I mentioned it during the week there, I'm sure. I think it was Estrada's team's basically doing positive, or there's members of the camp anyway.
I did. I looked. I was just looking at odds, and it was still on there for the original date. So fuck, I had no clue. Yeah, sad. Very sad. Well, way to take it down there a notch. But Chris Burns going back to back with a 79 and then a 179 to us, saying Russell can come again, Jade can't. I don't know who the reference might be there for you, but you give us money, you write it, I say it. You know, give or take a little bit there.
Matty, do you want me to jump in here with the reference for you?
Go on,
please.
Jade can't. You know what I'm saying?
Steve, you should play him the full video. So
I always thought he said cunt, so that's, there you go. Like, well, there you go, man. I just, all the times I heard it, I had always thought he said cunt.
I may be referencing himself. Here, Matty, can I just jump in with something if you don't mind?
Please.
I know it's a bit of a tight week, but I was going to say to you, back to Gary Russell, the original Gary Russell who fought last night. I was just thinking how you guys, or we can have a discussion on rating his kind of title run, because I mean, obviously he won it against Johnny Gonzalez, beat the shit out of him back in 2015, and this was the diminished version of Gonzalez by this point. And then looking at his defenses, Patrick Hyland, who was too slow to deal with him, Oscar Escandon, who's not a bad fighter, defeated Joseph Diaz, who was undefeated at the time, then Kiko, which was a bit of a gimmick as well. Kiko's come back against Galahad since then to maybe boost up Russell's resume a bit, and then the win over King Tug. So that's won the title against Gonzalez. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 defenses. I know it's spanned over 5 years, 5 defenses, basically a fight a year, a defense a year. What kind of legacy, I suppose, over the next few years will we look back at Russell? Say, for example, if he doesn't fight again or if he's never the same again, what do you think of his run?
It's so weak. It absolutely kills me that a guy that is that talented. I mean, you're talking, you gotta judge things on a pound for pound level, like smaller guys are faster than bigger guys. But I mean, fastest hands since Maldrick Taylor, and this is what we got out of it. That's pretty shit. I mean, at least he hasn't ended up like Maldrick Taylor, and I think that might be generally what his goal is. He just wants to make enough money. But if he's anything like his dad, he'll have 8 kids, and then he'll have that legacy underneath him. It's kind of like a pyramid scheme, I think.
Yeah, I mean, he said before longevity is important to him. That's why he's not fighting as much, because he's had bad hands in the past. He's had health issues and stuff. Obviously, the arm, as he mentioned last night, has been going on a long time. Looking at his old man, probably thinking he doesn't want to end up like that. Another stay in the gym all the time between them. And he said he's fighting fit, but being out for 2 years isn't going to help matters. So he is all about his longevity. He's definitely made a bit of money. So I suppose all fighters are different. There's some guys who go out there, get their head pounded in, like your Rosados and even that Anonian last night. And there's other guys like Russell, who, you see about the fast hands, Jason Chahal going on about the fast hands. He did have fast hands, but I think there was a couple of things about that. His hands were so fast, as I mentioned before, guys were able to time him, like the likes of Jojo Diaz. He started to time him a little bit as the fight went on, and he tended to weaken down a little bit as well, although last night I thought he showed a pretty good engine considering he'd been out for so long. So the speed did naturally diminish. And then you've got the Lomachenko fight as well. Obviously, before last night was his only loss, and I think he's had a good career. He's been decent, but I think it's a bit of a what could have been if he'd have really pushed for those unifications and not been content sitting on his laurels and defending the title, which is his perfect right to do. He's not breaking any rules. He's sticking with the WBC obligations. Then I think we could have seen a lot more out of him, but I'd rather the title be in Magsayo's hands, I think, Matty, because then at least it's going to get a bit more active for as long as he'll hold it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully he's at least active. That is what we're all hoping for. And we have time to kill. So let's start at the beginning to figure out who might fight who here. Unifications do take precedent, but we'll see what happens. But let's start with the first. Who's going to win between Wood and Conlan?
I think that Conlan will win on points in that one, but I think it'll be a pretty close fight, actually.
Andy?
I'm not too sure, mate. Certainly Mick's been maybe more entertaining in the press conference than what some of his fights have been, to be honest with you. But this is if he rides the power shots and that, I think Mick could win a decision. Close on the cards, possibly in that as well, seeing it's Eddie's show. So yeah, I'll probably go Conlan points, possibly.
So I know styles make fights, but you're thinking Conlan's better than Can Zoo or Zoo Can. I can't remember what way that went.
Oh yeah.
I would say so, mate. I just see if Mick had a bit of power about it, I would be a bit more kind of confident in my pick in that. I know Lee Wood is, he's got decent dig about him in that, but I think skill wise and that, or certainly in terms of technical ability and that, I think Conlan's better than him, to be honest. So again, it's just a bit on the night end of the day, but I think Conlan has got enough to beat him.
And Michael Thompson there as well, Matty, just briefly on a tangent, mentioning Jamie Conlan. Jamie Conlan, for all his limitations, I know he cut easily and everything. I've never had so many great nights at ringside as watching Jamie Conlan fights, man. He was like an Arturo Gatti type. He obviously was limited and everything, but tell you what, he was some fighter, man. The atmosphere was class when Conlan. He had so many wars and left so much in the ring. Mick's obviously a lot slicker and more talented than Jamie, but Jamie was pure balls and pure heart, man. So I just wanted to add that in.
And what is he, older brother or?
Yeah.
So, sorry. So you guys are thinking Conlan moves through. Okay.
Yeah.
So Conlan against Santa Cruz.
Depends on the version of Santa Cruz, doesn't it? Obviously, prime for prime, seeing what they've both given us over the years, you'd have to pick Santa Cruz. But we last saw him getting absolutely leveled out, although maybe he's fought since then, I can't remember. But he's fought all the cab drivers. Is his heart still in it? He's made a lot of money out of the sport. Be interesting to see what Santa Cruz has got left. If he's got these belts, is it silver title or super champion or something? So I don't know. I'd probably still have to side with Santa Cruz, given he has the resume and he's shown us. We've seen what he's like at the top level.
Yeah, it's one step, and we'll at least get to see Santa Cruz and what he looks like coming up here. I don't believe the title's on the line on the card on February 5th, I believe it is. But what are you thinking, Andy? Santa Cruz, Conlan?
It's a hard one to know, mate. I kind of agree with everything what Steve was saying there, to be honest with you. I mean, you just don't know what kind of version you're going to get of Santa Cruz these days and that. But if I was forced my hand in that, I'll probably pick Santa Cruz, probably on points.
You wonder how much his heart's in it as well. Like James G says there, Andy Conlan won't be fighting Santa Cruz. He'll be looking Conlan Warrington. You can, with Santa Cruz and his history with the PBC, you could never see him coming over to fight the likes of Conlan, could you?
No, I mean, I remember Carroll was trying to get him across for the rematch.
Yeah.
In Belfast, and it was just never going to happen. He won't travel. He's the fucking love child of Al Heyman, isn't he? So look, it makes a good point, James. Actually, probably a good chance the fight never happens anyway. To be honest with you, because at this point in each other's careers, that Conlan will also be looking for a world title fight, but also looking for the biggest payday in that as well. And they said that the Warrington situation, if Warrington beats Kiko,
that fight pisses me off so fucking much.
It makes money in either city, to be honest with you, but I think it would do better in Belfast, possibly. Saying that, I mean, Warren's done 25,000 at a stadium in that as well, so interesting.
That's such a joke that fight with Martinez is even happening.
Well, this is what we said this, so man. We see when Galahad got knocked out, and that we said it that Sunday that fucking Eddie was going to lose his phone number, Galahad's phone number, because he's just awful to watch. He is hard sell, doesn't sell tickets. So yeah, and he's talking about moving up in weight now as well. So he's saying that Kiko didn't beat him; he beat himself because of the weight. More excuses, and that guy can't hold his L. So so that's the excuse. He's moving up in weight. He should have done it before now. That's what he's claiming. So he's going to go to 130. I don't expect him to do much more, to be honest with you. Maybe a fight for some sort of belt, but he's mixing with the bigger guys now, guys who can hit heavier. So we'll wait and see what he does now. But that's the reason why he's not getting that fight.
Yeah, that might be the direction that it goes. So maybe you never know. Maybe they're both PBC, and it'll just go straight to Cajus if he gets through this fight, going up against Magsayo. Sorry about that. And that fight, it just feels like there's just and Magsayo's not young. I think he was like 33. They said.
Magsayo? No, I don't think he's that old, is he?
No, he's about mid-20s, I'm sure.
24, and or something like that.
Are you sure? I thought so.
Yeah, no, I'm not sure.
Somebody's 33.
26.
There you go.
Maybe it was Gary. They said it was 33. It must
be early 30s, I think. Now.
Yeah, it's got to be. So I must have gotten confused. But anyways, the point remains that I mean, he's just got more. He's just got more jump in his step. I don't know. So, anyways. I don't know. I'm sorry about that. I just went off there. I'm going through my list, and I don't know where I was going on that one. I do apologize. Fuck
you were going with the unifications. So Navarrete's WBO champion, isn't he? Martinez is IBF. Magsayo's W. Did you say Magsayo has to defend against Ray Vargas now?
Yeah, Andy said Magsayo has to defend against Ray Vargas.
Yeah.
Right.
Ray Vargas is the mandatory. I see, this is the thing, because Russell, he's been at the ring for 2 years, so he's only fighting mandatory defences. So obviously Vargas is now, I think he fought in the final eliminator, so he's obviously sitting waiting for his shot now in that eye. So he'll be next up.
So well, I mean, hopefully, I'd like to see a guy take out somebody that's like the super champion, like actually get taken out. Like I don't want to see Leo just kind of fade away. I don't want to see him like get knocked out again, but I'd like to see like somebody actually come up who's worth a damn. Because I know when it comes to Leo Santa Cruz, he fought a series of bums and here and there and things like that. But do you guys also remember when he first won his championship? During that period, I think the fight before and then this title victory through like 2 or 3 defenses, he fought like 4 or 5 times, I think, in less than 8 or 9 months. I mean, it was an insane stretch, no matter what your level of opposition is, and that's when he was throwing 100 punches around. That's it would just putting them together like nobody's business. He when he was coming out, he really earned his spot into the minds of boxing fans because he was on those cards on regular television, not pay for cable or anything. When PVC first got that deal, and he jumped in on like I think one of them was like a 4 or 5 week turnaround, and one was a 10, the other was a 12-round fight, or both were 12-round fights, to go in and provide an entertaining fight to the fans. I mean, Leo, he might have had some soft touches here and there, but he gave us a good run. The Frampton fights, Merez, there was a lot of good in there too. There really was. I mean, the guy is a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah, there was. He did make a lot of defenses, and he was active, which is a key part of it. You want to see people fighting all the time, but wasn't it Benny Lynch? I think I know it's back in the 30s. Whenever he turned pro in his first year in 1931, he fought 22 times. Times have changed since then. Obviously, Gary Russell, flip me, barely fought 22 times in his whole career, but at least Santa Cruz was out there. He was keeping active. There was a few Kikos thrown in, and Avalos here and there, and he's something like a 4 or 5 weight world champion, but I think he's done now. I mean, he'll still a force and he'll still give people a good fight, but I think as far as a top level operator with ambition, he's pretty much finished now. I mean, why would you be if you'd earned all that money wanting to get your head punched in? I can't see him being too much of an active threat now.
I guess it depends on how well he's done with his money and what he's done with this money.
I think he's done all right. I think he's done all right, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the case, I mean, because ambition's that one of those intangibles, right? You desire definitely adds to the whole package that you bring to the ring. So we'll see. Featherweight's getting interesting, though. There's just enough going on there that I'm curious about it. It should be some good fights in the next 12 to 18 months, optimistically. And optimistically, we'll see Rob wander in here too, because eventually we're going to run out of stuff. Al, we might be out here in 90 minutes a day, and Rob will pop in and he won't be here. But anyways, this is got from Madrid on Thursday, Steve. 160-pound fight. Sergio Martinez continuing his ill-advised comeback against Macaulay McGowan, who he was last seen getting knocked around at 154 pounds by God damn it, I forget the right his name. And he lost
Kieran Conway.
Conway, yeah. Sorry, I was just talking Conlan, and then I lost my freaking place there. So yeah, I just watched that on review, and Conway was just so much bigger than him, Andy, and I think that's the one thing that Martinez might get through this fight, because I'm expecting it just to be a matter of time before somebody just takes the old man out. But McGowan just looked small at 154 pounds against Conway. So that's the one thing, that absolute size and pressure. He might bring the pressure, but I don't think that he's going to have the size and power to be the guy that stops Martinez's run back towards a belt.
What fight we talking about here, sorry?
You know we're struggling, Andy, when he says over to Spain on Thursday.
That's what I say. Spain?
Yeah.
Fuck.
The sex against Macaulay McGowan.
Oh, is he returning, is he?
Yeah, This is what his 4th fight back, Steve?
Yeah, man. First Brian Rose, now Macaulay McGowan, Macaulay Culkin next. Who's he going to drag out of retirement? Steve Roberts, maybe Wayne Alexander. He could fight him.
I've just pulled up the card here. Sorry, mate. I was just right. Okay, so
we're about 8 years removed from when he lost to Miguel Cotto. It's insane.
Yeah, I know, but I remember I seen bits of Martinez's last fight against Brian Rose and that, and look, we know what he's at this time. Macaulay McGowan, for what I can recall, wasn't a big hitter, so it's another safe return for Martinez, who I think is quite highly rated. with one of the bodies. I'm sure it's a WBA, to be honest with you, but no surprise there. So, I'll say Martinez wins the fight, mate. How he does it, will be either late stoppage or easily on points. The one thing I need to dig out on is that Bernard Angelo Torres, who's on that card. He's actually a Norwegian. But I noticed his fights out of Spain, basically. So I just wanted to know what his situation is.
Hold on, and say that again.
Bernard Angelo Torres. He's a Norwegian.
No shit.
But he was born in the Philippines, brought up in Norway, but he fights in Spain.
Okay.
So he's like genetically perfect, but environmentally misplaced. So I don't know what's going on here.
He's like, fuck, this is cold. I'm going closer to the equator. Yeah. I don't belong here.
Mate. So yeah, look, listen, I know we're desperate for content or whatever that, mate, but fucking Jesus Christ. Sergio Martinez, I can't see myself fucking staying up to watch this shite on. I'll maybe catch it the following day on YouTube or whatever, not on like free speed, but we'll wait and see.
This is Martinez's greatest run of defeating UK opposition, Matty, since back in 2003 when he appeared on Sky. He was a bit of a road warrior then. His only loss was to Antonio Margarito. He couldn't get a fight for love nor money, and he came over to fight Richard the Secret Williams for the IBO title. Beat him on points in Manchester. Pretty close fight. Then knocked out Adrian Stone in his next fight. And the Brits decided they loved a bit of Martinez, and he fought Richard Williams in the rematch in the King's Hall in Belfast. I think it was Brian McGee undercard in the 9th round, IBO title on the line. And then they decided they'd had enough of him then, and he went off to Spain then for a few years before finally getting his break in America. And it was at the Alex Bonema fight when I first became aware of him again in 2008. So yeah, he was treading the boards fairly for a good few years, was Martinez. Member of the Who Needs Him club, a bit like Ronald Winky Wright. He had to go around the world to get fights.
He fought a bunch of chumps along the way. He really did. This fight made me go back over his record, and I think he was very avoided for a while there, because I mean, all risk, no reward at that point in time. Like it was tremendously awkward. And then that fight with Alex Bonemi, I mean, he knocked him down like 5 times or something like that, and just all of them were out of nowhere. It had been a while since we'd seen a stylist like that, you know. It's fun. They're very rare because you can't teach that. You can't teach it. Michael Thompson throwing in 2 pounds said, Fave boxers tick. Cruz rotating hand for me. Yeah, Leo Santa Cruz is the rotating hand was with his right. Yeah, that is a weird tick. I hate the grunts. Man, that's the one thing I didn't like about the King Tug fight with Zachariah Lucas. Zachariah Lucas sounded like he was a women's tennis player. I thought it was fucking Steffi Graf out there every time I looked down.
Yeah, there's a few guys do that, isn't there? Bellew was a good grunter. I remember him fighting Matthew Ellis back in the day in the Odyssey, one of the undercard bouts, and afterwards Bellew did a big roar, but he'd been grunting all the way through the fight. But I saw someone box live before who kept on doing big loud grunts, but I can't for the life of me remember who it was. But a few fighters do that. That the kind of, have you ever noticed fighters who kind of punch them in the face a little bit from time to time? I don't know whether it's to motivate themselves or get ready for a shot coming. Because you mentioned Santa Cruz, Shane McGuigan noticed that, didn't he, before the Frampton fight? He says whenever Santa Cruz was going to fight, throw a certain shot, he would like twitch the hand so they knew when it was coming. But there's guys sometimes who are like, you know, they're kind of on the outside, kind of shadowing a bit, and then they'll hit themselves in the face. And then, I don't know if you seen that, Andy?
No, mate, I was just trying to think of other things there, but I've actually been off on a different train of thought there or something else. Sorry, mate. I'm muted to kind of add something and just like right out of my head. Fucking hate it when that happens, man.
No ticks to speak of that.
Ticks. I tell you what, actually it was Daniel Gill. He had this kind of like crab type defense and that, and every time he took a punch and that, he would then start doing the fucking upper body movements, the head movements. I said, dude, you might do that before you take the fucking punch, no after it. Ticks and that. I'm trying to remember. There was a fighter who used to kind of kick his back leg in the canvas quite a fair bit. I'm trying to remember what his name was. Ticks. Something I kind of really look at, to be honest with you. But that was one thing I noticed with Daniel Gill anyway, at least, that when he used to take punches, he would then start that kind of like crab fucking roll under and that type of thing. I was like, weird.
God, I'm trying to think the fight recently. It was less than a year ago, and it was really close. But every time the guy would land what would be a scoring punch in the amateurs, he'd hold his hand up after it, and it just pissed me off so fucking much because it's not the amateurs. You're right. I think you're right. It just
The Cuban.
Jesus Christ, it annoyed me so much, Andy.
Roshi Warren, boys, he does that, doesn't he? Do you remember Roshi Warren? Whenever he lands a shot, he does that nodding thing, like,
Sounded quite sexual, that.
Here, a few boys in the chat. Liam Williams blinking. Zelfa Barrett taps his nose, says Ames, and then cracks his neck a lot from side to side. Fury does that, doesn't he? He does like the shoulder shake and then the arms up and then sort of hits his head and then blinks. He has the whole little routine going on there.
Pacquiao pulling at his shorts.
Oh, I see a lot of guys doing that, don't you? They keep pulling their shorts up and down all the time.
He does it more often. He would do. I don't think people went to the body enough on him because he would basically do it every time that somebody would go to the body. He would go down and adjust himself.
Des says one there, the tick every fighter has when they catch a big shot, they smile and shake their heads. And then the commentator usually says, well, whenever they shake their head, that then they've been hurt. Lampley would have always said that.
Mm-hmm.
Michael McElwee with 449 in there saying, great work, lads, during these quiet times. God bless you. We appreciate that you appreciate
shout out to
us.
Michael. I know Michael personally. He's a top guy, so shout out to Michael.
Oh, no shit. He still keeps you around?
Absolutely, man.
Oh, right on.
Very popular I am, Matty.
No shit. No, I could see you being very popular, Steve. I could see you being very popular. Let's see here. Declan sent us in a question. He said, at the risk of outing myself in an extreme casual and getting a belly of the week, why do people shit on Chavez Jr. career but not Andy Lee when Jr. knocked him out? He also went 12 with Canelo and Martinez, so he mustn't have been that bad. Well, Declan, and that's at Declan. I got to tell you, I hated the end of that fight with Andy Lee so much. There was so much fucked up shit that happened with that fight. And Rob actually, I think, summarized it pretty well at one point in time. And I don't think that stoppage was good. I think there was a lot of fight left in Andy Lee. And they stacked the cards against him. Chavez Jr. also got a lot of gifts early in his career. You can make an argument that I think, early on, I think Matt Vanda, of all people, probably beat him. He kept having to get new catch weights after signing for fights because he knew he wouldn't be able to make the weight. So he just got these smaller guys who aren't bringing the money in to just have to move on up with very little compensation to accommodate his fat ass to where he'd probably get a gift decision of some sort.
Is it entitlement, Matty? I think sometimes people don't like him because of his entitlement, because of kind of where he comes from. And obviously his dad was such a warrior and he's got a lot of opportunities off the back of pretty mediocre performances. I don't think he's the worst fighter in the world. And as Declan says, he's gone the distance with good fighters. I mean, the last round, that Martinez fight, he had him, nearly gone. And he had a few early on. Matt Vanda was the one. I thought it was Brian Vera, but you're right. It was the Matt Vanda fight was tight. Oshin Fagan fight was tight as well.
You could have lost to Brian Vera too. Mm-hmm. You're right. No, you both are correct.
See, just going back to that Lee Chavez fight. What I can recall of that fight is Lee outboxing him early doors, and then it was just purely the weight, bully, and size. Chavez just basically warmed it in the end. If I can recall as well, was there some sort of bullshit going on there as well?
Lee was stopped on his feet too. It was
I know.
The drug testing, I think, was suspicious. Was it
drug testing or lack thereof? I think, and there was I think even Homeland Security got involved in that fight because there were allegations that the Juarez cartel could have been there, and the same with Sinaloa.
Yeah, they took the samples back to Juarez over the border on a burro.
It was all dodgy, wasn't it? Do you remember Christina McMahon came on before with us, Andy, and she was telling us how bad it was. They were giving her like the little vials with the holes in the bottom and all. It was bonkers.
I think he went to the wee man to play in the bath and that, man. He fucking. So he gets a cup and that with the fucking holes. Remember they literally showed us that actual cup that they got to piss in.
Yeah.
Don't know how we should have managed that, to be honest with you. But as I say, I think go and pull it up. But I can recall Lee outboxing him early doors, and I say he got warned in the end in that. So. Not many people did that to him afterwards, actually, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't think he got stopped after that.
I'll tell you what, Declan, if you want to see a fight that definitely gave me a semi, watch Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. against Andrew Fonfara. That was great. That was great because he got the shit kicked out of him, something nasty.
But Steve's right, though. I mean, it is about entitlement and that. Look, I can recall, I need to go and pull up his record and that. Just bear with me a second here because I want to get this right. But remember when Martinez was actually WBC champion, because I think we were only two. It was back in Martinez to beat Chavez back in the day and that, right? But where's the fucking opponent? Chavez was given a title of some sort after Martinez was then forced to fight Zinzaruk, I think it was, and he got upgraded to some sort of kind of bullshit kind of WBC champion.
Did he fight Sebastian Zibic or something for some kind of title? I think, yeah.
What is it here?
No, Zibic might have beaten Chavez Jr. too.
No. Zibic, it was a majority decision. That's right, mate. He was writing off. Zibic controlled early rounds by punching out, manoeuvring Chavez. That's what it was. Very, very tight on the scorecards. Could have went either way. And then it says after that, he went and fought Peter Manfredo, Marco Antonio Rubio, Andy Lee, schooled off Chavez, then fought Brian Vera twice, got beat off Andres Vanfara up at some sort of catch weight, and then after that, mate, 170.
Yep.
And look at the L's he's took. 12 rounds with Alvarez, beaten 5 off Jacobs. At Cazares, I remember I'm sure he fought someone quite poor actually. That's who it was. He got beat off Dave Morrell. That's who it was.
Morrell ironed him out, didn't he, recently? Actually,
he did 1 round, and Anderson Silva.
You said Cazares, and I wouldn't be surprised if they got a 40-year-old and 70 pounds overweight Hugo Cazares to fight him. I was thinking, probably not the same one, though.
But
the main Hugo Cazares, he fought Frampton, didn't he?
The main fight next week, though, is going to be Mchunu against Makabu.
Yeah.
It's on the list, dog. It's on the list.
Good. Just making sure.
Yeah, I got you. G.
You're quite forgetful this today, you see.
So I'll tell you where I got messed up there is because I was looking at my paper and I have Magsayo and Kaj just right next to each other, and I was just mixing up Filipinos. So there you go.
Yeah, who you got money on in the NFL game, by the way?
I don't think you can say that because it's copyrighted as far as the name of the organization. But I have a round robin, and I already hit it with Ngannou to win, and I lost 1 leg yesterday. But if either the Rams or the Bills win, I'll basically break even. But if they both win, I'll make about $30 profit. And right now the Rams are kicking ass. So there you go. This round robin is where all the combinations play off of each other, Andy. It's an interesting way to play plus money bets.
All right, what are we on next?
Yeah, so let's see here. So Saturday from Tulsa, Oklahoma, there is a card headlined by Robson Conceição against Xavier Martinez. Also with Rene Tellez Giron against Luis Melendez and Nico Ali Walsh against the 1-1-1 Jeremiah Yeager. And 2 of those fights were against Ivan Hernandez. One of them was a loss. One of them was a win. He righted that wrong, Steve. He righted that wrong. And now he's coming for the grandson of the GOAT.
Here's one for you. Matty Yeager's getting bombed out by Nico Ali Walsh. He's on the rise. He's old Ali. He's Muhammad Ali's grandson, apparently, if you didn't know already. But God knows what they're going to do with him long term. But I must say, I am quite looking forward to the main event. Conceição, obviously, he got a bit of a bad one against Valdez. Valdez drugs cheating. Conceição came in, gave it a good go. And ESPN have brought him back out again. Now, Xavier Martinez, that's a good level of opponent because one of these guys is going to get found out. And I'm not completely sold on Martinez. I know he's a bit of a prospect at one point. I think he fought in the Olympics even. But it's his fight with Claudio Moreira, which raises sort of question marks for me. I don't know if he struggled. He got knocked down a couple of times by Moreira, won most of the other rounds. The cards were quite tight at the end. But Moreira got absolutely bombed out by Kid Galahad. And then the last fight, he went the distance with Juan Carlos Burgos, who's tough as old boots. That's going to happen. So this is going to be the coming out party or the destruction of Martinez. 17-0, 11 knockouts, 24 years of age. Let's see what he's made of. him against Conceição is a well-matched fight. I wish it had been a 12-rounder, actually. I don't know why they're not fighting 12 rounds. Martinez did go 12 against Moreiro, but everything else has been 10s and 8s. So I don't know what's going on there. But yeah, stick him in and get in 12, but a 10-rounder will do. I'm going to go for Conceição actually on points with this one. I think he'll have too much. I think Martinez is a bit smoke and mirrors, so I'm not that impressed with him so far.
Yeah, and it's an old Burgos gave him a little bit of trouble in there too at certain times. And I mean, that guy's got an iron chin. I'm not going to judge anybody who doesn't stop him. I think he's been stopped once in his career, if I recall. And I mean, the guy basically fought everybody around 126 and 130 over that period of time. So that should be a really interesting fight. Andy, will you be catching this one next day, or are you going to find an excuse to say that you did not catch this junior lightweight battle?
No, I'll probably catch it, mate, following morning.
Not staying up for it, Andy, no?
Not at all, mate. Not at all. Too washed these days. I stayed up kind of late doors for the playoffs last night, about 2:30, 3 o'clock. I went to my bed. I was like, oh, fuck, man. Blanked I got a long line this morning for a change, but no, it did much good. Conceição, but yeah, I'll say he wins, mate. He should have beat Valdez, to be honest with you. He just fucking pressed it a wee bit more, actually, and just kind of left it all in the ring. But hey ho, he gets another chance, I suppose. Yeah, I say he wins on points. Who's he fighting again? Xavier Martinez, he said.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember who he fought. Aye, that's right. He fought a couple of names in his last couple of fights and that. Don't know what I think of him at this point, to be honest with you. Just need to wait and see.
Yeah, that's should be an interesting one. And there's also another 130-pound fight that could be interesting. And it's I'm trying to remember the fight against Rivera, but Rene Tellez Giron against Luis Melendez. Both of them only with one defeat on their resume. Giron losing to Mikel Rivera. I don't know if you remember Rivera. If he looks incredibly like Muhammad Ali, actually. It's if I'm thinking of the right guy.
Yeah, Rivera is another one who styles himself on Ali, wears the shorts and everything, doesn't he? He fought that John Fernandez, knocked him out. He's
got the hair as well, as you know, back in the day.
Yeah. I can't remember who he fought. I can't remember who he fought in his last fight. I don't think the Fernandez one was his last fight. I'm pretty sure I've seen him recently.
What's his name again?
Michel Rivera. Let me see.
Michel.
Oh, yeah, he fought that Jose Matias Romero, that Argentinian who runs all over the place, who fought Isaac Cruz. That's right, yeah, that's the unforgettable opponent, Romero. Rivera's okay, he can clearly punch, but I think he can be outboxed by someone half decent.
Well, and he is at a severe size disadvantage at 5'4" against Melendez at 5'9". Down at 130, a more comfortable weight for him, but still, I've seen him get outboxed, Steve. I think that could be the direction it's looking.
Can't remember who I've seen Melendez fight before now, you know.
Andy, what were you asking?
Melendez. What was I asking, mate?
Were you asking a question?
What are we still doing here?
I can't remember what did I ask, actually.
No, he was asking about Michel Rivera, I think, but we kind of cleared that one up, that he'd fought Romero and John Fernandez. But I was asking about Melendez. I couldn't remember who Luis Melendez had fought, but it was Thomas Matisse on the Michaela Mayer undercard. It's these ESPN cards, man, these Bob cards. Bob needs to up his game. I know I'm a PBC shill, absolutely unashamedly. See shows like last night, though. That was shows for me why the PBC are sort of leading the way at the moment. That's a good Saturday night card. I know we watched it on Sunday morning.
They can get a better fight on 10 days' notice.
Yeah. Tug against Lucas, in for Pasillas, Matias against Anonian, co-main event, 12-rounder rematch, and then Gary Russell defending his title against Magsayo. Yeah, there's 3 good quality fights, man. Even the Showbox card they put on wasn't too bad. And then the heavyweights at the beginning of the year. Bob, you get a decent main event if you're lucky, and the rest of it's shit, man. He's just filling quotas on ESPN. Needs to up his game. Although Conceição Martinez, I don't mind that. But it should be a 12-rounder, not a 10-rounder.
Tell you what, that Melendez, man, his only defeat on his record, it was his 3rd fight, and it was by split decision. He does not a high level of opposition, really. But I mean, a 5'9", 930-pounder against a 5'4" dude. If he's been learning his craft, I mean, that's a smooth night of boxing if he can turn a corner.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be a good fight. It could, or it could be shit. We'll see.
Well said. Gabe used to say that, didn't he? I might tune in, or then again, I might not.
He can't commit himself to such things. The
Kind of
good
like a little bitch.
The good news is next week we'll have some stuff to preview, as long as nobody gets COVID and cancels the pay-per-view this side of the pond. I'm optimistic about that. Hopefully you guys can get through this month of protocols, and we'll be able to discuss the Eubank Williams fight as well. That will be nice. But Saturday from Warren, Ohio, I have seen no television announced yet, Andy. But we have a card with Trevor Bryan against Jonathan Guidry, two undefeated guys. Guidry fought fucking no one, which is somehow his resume is worse than Bryan's, which is basically shit. And that's going to be serving as a fight that Canelo Alvarez is going to be looking at, a cruiserweight battle between Ilunga, Toney's bitch Makabu, and Tabiso, Ilunga's bitch Mchunu. I was watching the fight again this morning, their first fight, and man, until he got rattled, Mchunu was boxing the shit out of Makabu. I don't know, man. I'm thinking he might upset the plans. He's going to be a little tidier this time.
Firstly, it's on Fight TV pay-per-view online, $14.99, I think it is. Don't know how much that is in pounds again, but 15 quid possibly in that. So don't know. That's saying here available in the United Kingdom, so I'm assuming that's going to be for everybody. Actually, to be honest with you. Who did you say? Who the fuck's Trevor Bryan fighting?
His name is Jonathan Guidry. Guidry.
He's from Louisiana. Doesn't that picture just reek of Louisiana club fighter?
Fucking hell, man! I'm just going to pull up his details and know that, but holy shit! Look at that beard.
To be fair, it's kind of late notice opponent and such, like, but there's nothing of substance on his resume, Steve. I mean, you just looked at the page.
How's he getting a belt? How's he getting to fight for a belt?
Power
Is he even appearing in WBA rankings?
I'll tell you why he's getting a shot, Andy, because in his last fight, he beat Rodney Moore, who's 20, 19, and 2, so not quite as many losses as wins. Nice. That was a unanimous decision. Before that, a guy with more losses than wins. Then before that, Corey Phelps, might as well have fought Michelle Joy Phelps, 16, 11, and 1, and then a bunch of guys with more losses. He's fought Aaron Chavez for 3 times, so he's going the Sal Farah route here. And he's tell you what, he's been steadily climbing up in weight. 13th. He was 228, then 235, then 248, then a steady 250 again, and in his last fight he was 263. So expect a good belly on display. That's what I'm looking forward to.
He's living the life, mate, but certainly not the fucking boxing life by the sounds of it.
Going to Lovejoy route.
Oh, yeah.
I understand too. I mean, I have had good Cajun food. My stepdad's family lives in Louisiana, and I don't know if y'all have ever had gumbo or jambalaya or red beans and rice, but that's really no, it's delicious. Oh my God. Man, red bean, it's so simple. It's just good spices and the red beans and rice. You put some andouille sausage or maybe some hot links in there. Then I finish it off with some Louisiana hot sauce, man. That's a quality meal. I can see how the guy got fat. I have to fight it myself because I can make red beans and rice at any time for a low cost. That's what us simple folks do. But you want to be a titleist, you're going to have to take this seriously there. Cajun Bean.
So he basically beats Rodney King for a world title fight, basically.
Rodney King was beaten by the LAPD.
Well, same thing than Rodney Moore. But what's his name?
Louisiana is not Los Angeles. The abbreviation for the state might be LA, but it's different places.
Here, Andy, here's some of the places he's fought in: the Cutoff Youth Centre in Cutoff, the Evangeline Downs Casino in Opelousas, the Evergreen Cajun Centre, with a Cajun chicken going on there, Matty. The Cypress Bayou Casino. He's gone out to Lafayette, Baton Rouge, New Orleans, and Houma and Magnolia Centre Laurel. So he's been in the hotbeds of boxing here.
Yeah, I know all those. Yeah, I've been to a couple of those places.
Hey, there's actually a place somewhere called Cut and Shoot. Remember, Steve, we were doing the bit about Floyd Patterson the other night. That Roy Harris, he's from a place called Cut and Shoot. That was his nickname, Roy Cut and Shoot Harris. But that was the fucking name of the town, Cut and Shoot.
That's where Alfonso Lopez is from there too. He fought Kelly Pavlik at 168. I always remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, but this for the main event. Look up for it. As you say, the Makabu, once he started getting on the inside with him and throwing those kind of like downward shots and working the body and that, Mchunu really started to gas out pretty quick, and the ending was pretty emphatic in that. I'm not too sure if it's going to go something similar, but I've not seen any of these guys diminish in some sort of way that I don't expect them to kind of give us a similar showing, and I wouldn't be surprised. I think I said it was early on in the year. I think it was when we came back after Christmas or New Year. I think I favoured maybe Makabu to maybe win this by stoppage and that. So I think it might do it again by stoppage, to be honest. But as I say, it's no a given. Obviously, as you say, Mchunu's good. He can box really well off the back foot. I just think if you're able to press him and keep up an activity, you might be able to outwork him, because he fights primarily off the back foot. And I think Mchunu, as the fight goes on, Makabu, as the fight goes on, he'll basically gradually just start getting to him, I think. And one thing he has got is lights out power if he does land that shot, and he's done it before, so I expect him to win again this time.
You'd have to think that if it goes to the cards, that it's in Mchunu's fight, wouldn't you, Andy?
Possibly, mate. I mean, look, at the end of the day, Mchunu's been on the road. He's been to Russia to get the job done in that as well. So, yeah, I think he can definitely do it on points. And that if it goes a distance in that, maybe a majority decision type win in that. But it says he's been jobbed off Oosthausen. That was the reason why that fight got rearranged.
You righted that wrong, yeah.
Yeah, righted that one. The Usyk fight, there's no shame in getting beat off him at the end of the day.
No shame in that too. It's kind of just like, yeah, you lost Usyk, okay.
I think he has got vulnerabilities, though. I think the gas tank is no great. Resistance might not be absolutely top notch, and I don't think he's for such a small guy for that weight division. He's got a lot of muscle on top, and that, so I think it affects his activity in that. So I've got to favour Makabu at this point, mate. I mean, I just think he's just the size, his output, and probably his power, and that's going to be different. We'll wait and see. But if it does go to this, I would not be surprised to see us getting a majority decision type thing in that, and the fight going either way, to be honest with you, because these guys are probably evenly matched, as even as much you're going to get so far anyway this year. So I'm really looking forward to this one.
What's the fight? What's the TV situation again? Were you guys saying?
So according to BoxRec, at least, there's nothing been listed there, but it's on Fight TV.
Right.
You know the website.
Yeah, someone's broadcasting at least then.
Yeah, basically, aye. So it's $14.99.
Aye, for those who pay. I'll get it. Don't worry, Patreon. We'll sort you out in the morning. But I think this is actually a good fight because they're both on reasonable enough form. And Mchunu, I kept thinking, last time I remember seeing him was against Usyk, but that was years ago, as Andy mentioned, the Oosthuizen fight. Lebedev, I don't think I've seen that, but I know he beat Tashenko over the distance as well in Russia. I know Tashenko's not brilliant, but that's not a bad win. But he's always been a small guy for me, Mchunu, but he can get the shots in fast and furious, and I wouldn't be surprised if he pulled it off. But Makabu, he had those back-to-back wins. I watched both of these actually against Papan, and Sislak was the one when he won the title, and they went absolutely bonkers and all jumped in the ring, and you've got Don King still floating about, and I think it's going to be a good fight. There's a chance someone's going to get knocked out. But one thing I will say is, I don't think that Makabu, if he wins, is going to get the Canelo fight. I think that's just a complete red herring. I think Canelo is going to end up fighting Charlo around May time, the Cinco de Mayo. I don't think the Makabu fight was ever on, because it was only really Eddie Reynoso was talking about that. Canelo himself was kind of a bit like, I don't think he was really on board with that. So I think that's bullshit. I mean, I could be completely wrong, but I don't think Canelo is going to fight Makabu. So I don't think that's riding on the line here, even if Makabu wins. I think it'd be Canelo Charlo. So I just thought I'd throw that little caveat in there.
Rob Kelly rolling on into the call in a timely fashion, just like the United States rolling into Europe during World War II after 3 or 4 years of warfare. Rob.
Yeah, very same, man.
Yes.
Very same.
All the stake, all at stake here, Rob.
Jesus Christ.
Here to save us all.
How are we, gentlemen? Sorry I'm on so late. It's just one of those things. I'm gonna over the next few weeks. I'm gonna have more time. So
Good to see you, Rob.
Well, what are we discussing? Or what are we disgusted by?
We're already to the last fight of the weekend to discuss for next week.
Can we get on to Ben Guardiola at some point?
What was that?
Can we get on to Ben Guardiola at some point?
Ben Guardiola.
Ben Davison.
Oh yeah. Ben Howe.
He's fucking walking like Michael Jackson these days,
Hill.
isn't he?
So yeah, Rob, if you want to just give us any review you have of things that have happened this last week, and then any things that you think about what's coming up this weekend, at it.
What's this weekend? Because I'm sure like you don't need an extra fucking set of eyes to run over Gary Russell's loss with one hand in a tight fight against fucking, who did he lose to again? One of the Mayorgas, one of the Ortegas.
Mark Magsayo.
Yeah. Magsayo I'm a big fan of that guy. He had a good KO in his last fight. And the fight, I'm just happy Gary Russell Jr. got beat, man, to be honest with you. For two reasons. This fucking longest reigning champion in current, he only fights fucking once a year, sometimes no times a year. So I don't know how much you read into that long reign, seeing as he doesn't fucking fight that often. And second, I never got over that thing that he did to Leo Santa Cruz's dad. I just thought that was despicable. So I cannot root for him in a fight since. And I hope Crawford does catch up with him at some stage so he can back up the shit he was saying about Bud Crawford. I hope Gary Russell pisses off now and I don't have to see him again, unless it's in a fight with Tevin Farmer or Devin Haney or someone like that. Yeah, what's coming up next week?
Not very much, really. Makabu, Mchunu, we were talking about there, and some ESPN card, Conceição.
Yeah. When's Brooke Khan on?
Middle of February, that one. Maybe Williams Eubank might fight before that, Rob, we don't know.
Yeah, one of those two I'd be more interested in.
So you have Martinez against Macaulay McGowan on Thursday from Madrid. On Saturday from Tulsa, you have Robson Conceição against Xavier Martinez, and the return of Nico Ollie Walsh against 1-1-1 Jeremiah Yeager. And then from Warren, Ohio, over the internet on Fight TV.
It's on all stuff.
I think it was Joe Frazier.
Frazier. Did you see that video that ESPN put there where they brought out Joe Frazier's hand cast and Ali sitting there putting his hand over it and that type of thing? I'm saying they're rinsing the life out of this fucking pish, man. I can't wait to hear Joe Tessitore talk about it again.
And then from Warren, Ohio, on the internet on Fight TV, you got Trevor Bryan against Jonathan Gaidry and Ilunga Makabu against Tabisu Mchunu, which is definitely the fight of the week.
I think Rob's gone off the call.
I think
well, I came on for this fuck.
I think Mchunu needs an Mchunu-up fight before this one. I hope Makabu wins because he's after boosting his profile a little bit, isn't he? He was exciting, even though he got iced by Sonny Bellew Mace, even though you never heard me talking about it and reliving it in a Sky documentary. Yeah, I like Makabu. He's got an all-action style and he's got a big punch. So I would kind of want to see the Canelo fight because they call it, even though it might be a smoke screen. I kind of want to see it now since they said it. So hopefully Makabu keeps his name in the mix for a big bad day against Canelo, even though I kind of agree with Steve. I don't really see that happening. And the talk is that boxing purists are not going to be happy with Canelo's next fight. So what the fuck that means, I don't know. Like, is it another Golovkin fight or what the crack is? But Makabu's always in a fun fight. Trevor Bryant, I couldn't give a fucking. I'm not going to see that fight. Right? There's no point in me even trying to. There's no way I'm going to see that fight. It won't happen. So yeah. Well, it's been a great week. See you all next week.
Yeah, that's really about it. God, Steve, was there anything left in here? Comment from Roy. We got that.
Oh, they'll put that in last week just in case we got Desperado because it was Roy's 53rd birthday and I thought we could maybe mention our favourite Roy moments. But I mean, it's up to you if you want to mention that or not.
Oh, man, then. Yeah, the old pound for pound.
Well, my favourite Roy moment was when he, close personal friend of mine, wished me good luck for my wedding there a couple of months back. Me and Roy talk often. I don't make a big deal about it on here, but, everyone knows what best does. So that was great. Sure, it was one of his greatest moments as well. If you ask him.
What about Rob? What about a great Roy moment, but maybe not the sort of standard ones? Obviously, we go through Toney and Hopkins. I was thinking there, Glenn Kelly when he put his hands behind the back and knocked him out with the shot from the hip.
That was a great one. I'd actually go for an underrated one. I think it's around the 3rd or 4th round in Antonio Tarver Jones 3 or 2. 3. They had 2 fights, didn't they?
Yeah, 2 was when he got knocked spark out.
2 was when he got spark out. 3 and the third. The third fight. There was one good round where he showed flashes of the old Roy, and then it just quickly dissipated after that. But it was kind of made me feel nostalgic when I was watching it, or emotional when I was watching it. I didn't know he was going to fucking carry on for another fucking 15 years and get smack banged around the place by the likes of Lebedev and fucking Enzo Macronelli. But yeah, that was a good moment. Obviously, actually, do you know what? The Olympics, it was the biggest robbery in the history of the sport, or the history of the Olympics, that Seoul, Korea had a couple of dodgy decisions. Billy Walsh, US team coach Billy Walsh from Wexford, was on the dubious end of a decision to a South Korean in that tournament as well. But yeah, that performance, or him in the Olympics, he was absolutely fucking lighting the place up, man, and it was the talk of the boxing world, and kind of set the stage for himself in the future. So that's a pretty memorable one for me.
I'll tell you what I liked. This is a random one from hell, but I liked everything from the press conferences, the lead up, the fight itself. When he fought Jeff Lacey, when he came out dressed like fucking Captain Hook, I lost my fucking shit. That was absolutely hilarious.
That was versus Trinidad, was it?
No,
was that not versus Trinidad, Captain Hook? Or was
Did
that
Roy
Return of
fight
Captain
Jeff
Hook?
Lacey?
No, but
he
fought Jeff Lacey. And
it was Jeff Lacey.
Because Jeff left Hook. Because he did fight. Yeah, when he came out as Captain Hook, because that was the moment when Roy just gave no fucks, and he fought Lacey, and he was talking to the fucking announcers and shit. Like, it was the perfect opponent to do the shit that old Roy used to do, because it was so utterly predictable. And he beat the living fuck out of Jeff Lacey. He was fucking swollen up as a porn star's vagina after the 500-man orgy. It was fucking terrible. Or the gangbang. That'd be a gangbang if it was an orgy. There'd be no vaginas there. So sorry. That's a.
I was thinking I hadn't seen that one.
But anyways, I thought the fucking when he came out as Captain Hook, that was epic. But anyways,
which was the fight when he fought? Wasn't it Eric Lucas when he played the basketball game in the morning and fought of an evening?
Yeah, I think it was. One of my favourite ones actually was remember when he knocked out Art Serrano? So his first round knockout, right? He lands a fucking arsehole winder overhand right on the tempo, right? And it basically,
his eyes go all funny.
His eyes go all fucking funny. He crumples over, right? He twists his knee, almost breaking his knee at the same fucking point, and lands square on his fucking face. And that, what a knockout it was! Fucking tremendous shot.
That's
Do you remember, Andy, the Murky Souza fight when he stops him controversially and Souza starts attacking the referee?
He's fucking raging. Oh, Rickety legs and that. He's raging in that because obviously Souza's been known for taking absolute shitloads of punishment in his etc. But fucking
people say shit about Jones's resume, but it's just on nights like that and things like the shit that he used to do in the ring. That is why I always said I don't think anyone 60 to 75 would have beaten him in his prime, and I throw Hagler and Robinson and all them in there. Like, I just don't see it. I don't see anyone being able to do what he was able to do. And people say he was juiced or he's this, that. I don't give a shit, man. Juice don't make you fucking move like Roy Jones. I don't give a fuck what kind of juice that is. Like, he was absolutely sensational in his prime. It's hard. It's hard to talk about him really and do it justice, because if you didn't kind of live through, and even when we were living through it, people weren't kind of giving him the credit that he deserved. It kind of came after his retirement, if that makes sense.
Everyone was desperate to see him get beat, Rob. They used to shit on him in the ring. I remember at the time, all over the place.
Lots of detractors for his style, especially the old style guys. They fucking hated him. But I think that's a kind of it's a factor in boxing. I was only thinking about it during the week, like, because I was looking at I was telling the listeners last week, I was looking at the Kings documentary. But I remember, like, as high a regard as we hold the four Kings, at the time, people used to compare them to Robinson. Like, so when Leonard and Hearns were around, people used to go, well, they're great, but they're not as great as Sugar Ray Robinson and Jake LaMotta. And, you know, like, nowadays, people were saying, well, Roy Jones is great, but he wasn't as great as Sugar Ray Leonard and Marvin Hagler. And then people say about Floyd is not as good as Sugar Ray Leonard. And it's like, now it's like Floyd is gone. It's like Floyd's the greatest thing since sliced bread. So it's funny the way that goes. But I remember at the time he had a lot of detractors for sure.
Well,
So in a
if you
few
think about
years,
it,
what Rob's saying, in a few years, Ryan Garcia will be properly appreciated as the
Ryan
great
Garcia.
fighter that he was.
well,
Ryan Garcia.
the
I was going to say,
the
Matty, sorry.
go,
I was just going to say about I remember the Clinton Woods fight. Now, Clinton Woods was a solid fighter. He was a solid fighter, right? And Roy Jones just fucking picked him apart so bad that the corner threw in the towel. But even Clinton Woods at one point could find a way to have a fucking clown moment and do the alley shuffle after fucking Jones just landed this like fucking arsehole fucking number of punches on him as that. He just obviously kept his wit about him and that. Obviously he was outclassed and that, but that always stuck in my mind. That actually was he was getting clowned and beat up and fucking schooled, and he still finds a moment to take the piss and fucking do an alley shuffle. So fair play to Clinton Woods.
well, I was gonna say that here's the thing, and I'd love you guys' honest opinion. Let's say that Roy Jones Jr. doesn't go back down to light heavyweight. He stays at heavyweight, and he fights Evander Holyfield.
Wait, sorry. Were we
gonna
not
fight
supposed to be giving our honest opinion up until now? What the fuck
yeah,
are we
no.
doing in our?
Fuck off. So Roy fights Evander Holyfield, and he beats Holyfield too. I think Toney stopped Holyfield. I think that Roy would have, at the very least, beat him on points, if not stopped him too. But then Roy rides off into the sunset. Are we talking about Roy as a top 10 all-time great? I mean, does his series of losses when he was beyond the hill?
If he'd have retired at the Ruiz fight, I think that would have made him 47-1-1 or 48-1, and the only blemish was the
DQ.
Yeah, the DQ. So we would rightfully be talking about. I think we still should. It's I think, but the fact that he had kind of two careers basically goes against him in the eyes of the critics and that, but because they start to like base the second half of his career on it, I suppose his legacy, which I suppose is fair to a degree, and all the greats, they all go on too long and all that. But if anyone doesn't think Roy Jones is one of the greatest of all time, I don't know what you're watching. Like
I believe he was the first middleweight to win the heavyweight title in over 100 years. So shit like that's historical and that. So yeah, I agree with Rob on that without doubt. He goes in there. It's just the fact is, if he'd remained there, I think they tried to get. I'm 100% sure they tried to get the Mike Tyson fight. I forget why.
Did. They did.
What was the reason again? Did Tyson go to jail?
I think he fought Lewis and he got fucking destroyed. I think that was what the whole thing wasn't. He gonna fight him if he beat Lennox?
It was money or something, man. I can't remember. You know.
I need to check that one out. But because I remember who was his trainer? Was it Meltenberg? Art Meltenberg, what his name was?
Who? Alt Murkison.
Alt Murkison, sorry, aye. At the time, just before the first or after the Tarver fights, that he says that they'd hung about because he packed on so much muscle and that he looked fucking huge, 25 pound of pure muscle, and they were like, well, you know, Tyson fight's not going to happen. So why wouldn't he get all that weight off? I'm just trying to check my dates here. So 03 beat Ruiz, so that was between the times the Clifford Etienne fight and the Danny Williams fight. So as a washed Tyson at that point, you would probably have expected fucking Danny Williams and Kevin McBride beat him in the space of a year. So you would think at that point Jones would have fucking beat him.
Tyson was 4 or 5 rounds then, wasn't he? Coming out trying to knock you out, and he just gassed, and that was it.
Reputation and try to live on fear and that basically as well.
Yeah, it's a shame, I guess, that he went on, but Roy loves boxing. Yeah, I mean, that's his decision.
What's really kind of like set him? I'm not going to say set him back because he's had a great career. Listen, he fought Calzaghe, he fought Lacey, as you said. Danny Green was horrible fight. Obviously Hopkins. The Lebedev fight was sad to see for me, actually, to be honest with you, but I don't think he personally think he recovered back-to-back knockouts over like Tarver and Glenn Johnson. I mean, he got knocked out twice in the manner what he did in his space. What was it, like 3 or 4 months? I remember Manny Stewart talking about that, saying, "Look, I think he's had some sort of kind of brain damage as a result of those fights." And that because once you get knocked out like you did against Tarver, Manny made the argument is that if you get knocked out close, you'll get knocked out back-to-back and a kind of close proximity of time can obviously lead to major issues somewhere down the line, and that's why, like say, probably these days, I don't think Roy would have fought 3 months or 4 months after being knocked out off Tarver, to be honest with you. I don't think the States would allow it.
Yeah, I was just going to say there, no, Stuart Dales in the chat is mentioning like about the steroid issue and blah, 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 saying fangirls and all this.
Was it Riptide or something? Roy got popped for some over-the-counter thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, the thing is,
Leave
someone
Roy alone, man.
was going on about Canelo about this in the YouTube comments. Oh, you don't mention Canelo's drugs cheat. Sometimes you just got to have a chat, man. If you're trying to add in every single caveat about every single fighter, we'll be here till frigging 1 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, we know there's issues with him. Same with Manny. There's issues with a lot of fighters, but you've mentioned it now, so that's that.
If we didn't talk about fighters who got popped for drugs, we wouldn't be able to talk about fights.
Oh, he's got an open invitation, Stuart. I mean, you're running all over the YouTube chats here, kind of mouthing off and being kind of like, come on here and say it. You know, because at the end of the day, nobody will see your comments in about a week's time because they'll be, going on the internet. Come on here. Tell us what it's all about. Tell us, where we're going wrong and fangirls this. And look, he put on 25 pound of muscle, regardless. I know who he worked with as well. That guy, Korchenny, who worked with the Russian team. Dodgy as fuck, of course. But as Steve says, you want to put every caveat, every fighter in the world has always got stains against him. You want to mention Floyd, you want to mention
It was
Manny.
Mackie Shieldstone, wasn't it? Mackie Shieldstone did it. The same guy that put the weight on for Spinks with Larry Holmes.
That's right. But Korchenny was involved somewhere as well along the line, I'm sure.
Possibly, yeah. But I think Mackie was working with him for the Tarver fight, I think, getting about the way back down, maybe. I'm not sure. I think it was both fights, actually.
It's a quiet week, Stuart. Open invitation. Come on and say your piece. Or forever hold it.
All right, then. So, we agree. Roy Jones Jr. kicked ass. This seems to be consensus. And good for us. But, we'll be here next week to review these fights and talk about some stuff that we actually have going on. Fingers crossed, nothing COVID happening that screws up the UK card and the US card.
That's over with now, man, isn't it? It's over now.
Oh, Jesus
it's
Christ.
All news.
I sure hope. So I think you guys are safe. God knows if they do anything. More so the fighters contracting it, not so much they cancel the whole cards, but more so the fights get canned just because single fighters get it.
Hang on, though, mate. If Estrada gets popped for it, man, I mean, fucking the whole card's fucked anyway because that's the main event.
Yep, exactly. Like if Thurman gets it or Barrios gets it, that's canned. If Eubank or Williams gets it, that's canned. But it sounds like, it does sound like you guys are good. Didn't they pull the mask mandates and all that shit?
I don't know. Some referees wear them, some corners do, some corners don't. I don't even know what's going on these days. I'm out in the sticks out the road, man.
I was like, I'm on my property and I only wear a mask if I'm sneaking up on the wildlife.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but anyways, Steve, on that, let's send it over to you for the value of the week.
Thanks very much. Yes, value of the week, episode 485. Andy's here, Rob's here, Matty's here, Steve's here. Let's play us in with something a bit comedic, shall we? Australia, again, it rough at the moment. They've got one hero, one hope, one superhero to save them. It's got to be Father Dave.
Here comes Father Dave, led out by Tony O'Loughlin. My goodness, Tony, I've known him since the 80s. God love him. He's been a great trainer in the Sydney region for a long, long time.
The punching priest, Father Dave. Tell you what, isn't that some entrance? He's actually a priest.
Yeah. At the veteran boxes, he always opens up the veteran boxes. The
all right, ladies and gentlemen, let's introduce you to the two.
Jesus fuck.
Father Dave there. Big fan of Father Dave, Matty?
You gotta love him, man. You gotta love him.
He's a priest, you know.
He, not only is he a priest, but he's a boxer, and he cares about the children because he has a camp for troubled youth. Father Dave is all things. And then you had Rob left every time you bring up the Catholics. Just fuck off.
Good old Father Dave. Talking of great Australians, though, our first nomination here is Ebony Bridges. Great to meet the future world champion, says snooker legend Dennis Taylor, meeting up with Ebony. I don't know what was going on there, but they seem to be in a snooker hall somewhere. Getting the old snooker balls out, Andy. I say she could pot a few herself, old Ebs.
Mate, that post could fucking be cue balls, man. Jesus Christ.
Keep it in your pockets, old man. Keep it in your pockets.
Good old Dennis there. Second one here, 12 rounds of boxing. Who you got? DAZN Boxing. Gary Kavanagh's nominated this one, Matty. I was mentioning this off air, actually. Tyson Fury against Francis Ngannou. You can fill me in on Mr. Ngannou and his body of work. It looks like a fine specimen.
Yeah, Ngannou is the UFC heavyweight champion. He just won last night by decision. He was actually the underdog. I think that's 2 straight fights that he won his title, and then this defense as an underdog. He's a good striker, but he wants to challenge Tyson Fury and have some other boxing matches. And as talented as I think he is, and I think there would be a certain level that he would be able to compete at in heavyweight boxing. The Gypsy King would smoke him like a fucking pack of cools, man. Like, some dreams are better left untarnished. Just keep this one in your head, and don't let it become a horrible, horrible reality.
It's all going on in boxing at the moment. Fury against Ngannou could be taking place soon. One man who could be coming back to the ring is Audley Harrison. He's been having a great time over on Twitter.
I've missed this, by the way.
Oh, yeah, so have I. People have been tagging me in left, right and centre, and I'm not on Twitter as much these days because it's a thief of time, but I was having a look through it today, and Audley's going in on people. He says, like a fly on shit, these clowns better realise since beating up COVID, I've made a commitment to authentically be me. I'm no longer toning down my light like Sydney and turning pro and controlling my career. I did it in your face with 100%. No apologies. The king is returning to the ring, says Audley Harrison. He then went on to say, serious offers going in here. AJ, too happy, too content. He wants to fight with AJ. For Audley Harrison, says Lee Wild. And then he got sticky in on Lee, basically talking about his kids and the photo and all sorts. This is prime Audley here. And then someone said, my coach, known as Dr. Joe, this was Orange Boom Bastard, thinks he can stop you in one round. Then he put up a video of Dr. Joseph, a J-O, PhD, THD, doing the bags. And he said, lol, stop it. So he doesn't fancy that smoke, Andy. So I think Audley's gone rogue, basically, talking about ring returns, slagging people off, bigging up his WBF title, and turning down a fight with Dr. Joseph.
Fuck Fraudley, by the way. Fuck Fraudley Harrison. I'm sick of this pish, right? This is a guy who, openly went on a pay-per-view with David Hay and announced to the world that they fucking hated each other. Meanwhile, a few years later than that, they're the fucking best of pals, actually. They're on this fucking poker program on fucking Prime. And, I think Harrison's he's over in Vegas and running the poker circus, I think. He's trying to teach David Hay how to play the game and all that type of thing. So the fucking artist, he's clearly he's on the troll, he's on the fish. They try and generate a bit of banter, bit of interest, and try and see what just basically shake the tree, see what shit falls with it, to see if he can fucking earn some money out of the prick.
It's disrespect like this that makes your Olympians want to live here. I hope you're happy.
Well, I tell you, it's starting to make me think now, make me wonder, maybe David Hay and Tony Bellew didn't like each other as much as they let on. Maybe there was something to that as well. Maybe that animosity wasn't as real as I thought.
Oh, come on, Rob. What are you suggesting here?
Fucking, I don't know. Andy's got the cogs in my brain working now, thinking overtime. Maybe that was a cynical cash grab for 2 fights on Sky Sports box office.
Cynical cash grab. Audley might be coming back soon. Who knows? Craig Master, he suggested a Triller pay-per-view for Audley. I'm sure Triller would maybe get stuck in on that one. More Audley to come later. Not before we've seen JJ La Selva nominating Eddie Hearn, BoxingScene.com. Hearn not worried about date clash. Taylor Serrano is bigger than Stevenson Valdez. We all know, Matty, which one you'll be watching on that night, but apparently at the moment, Taylor Serrano, Stevenson Valdez are going to be on the same time, same night. Some people have been suggesting, actually, Matt, that Eddie might even have the gumption to put Taylor Serrano on pay-per-view. Surely not.
I thought pay-per-view was dead, Steve.
No, well, apparently not. Eddie said it was dead, but he's gone back on his word, surprisingly. He was lying one day, telling the truth the next. You didn't know what to think with old Eduardo.
Eddie wouldn't go back on his word.
How much would you pay for it?
Fuck. I already pay fucking $10 a month for DAZN. This was not part of the fucking deal.
Fuck Eddie Hearn as well, right? Because I'll tell you that, see if he's saying that fucking fight is bigger than Stevenson Valdez, then it'll fucking make the difference in the paycheck, Eddie. Let's see them fucking earn more money than Stevenson Valdez, you prick.
Eddie's been trying to get me to sell the fight as well on pay-per-view. He keeps on telling me, hype it up. He keeps on saying to me, Katie, you should go out and say you do both the Serrano sisters on the same night. And I keep cracking up, Eddie. Come on, man, I can't say that. Oh.
Eddie never said that. Pay-per-view isn't dead, he said.
Could you repeat that?
Oh, pay-per-view's dead, but it might appear on DAZN. You never know. Here we are, Don King, Boxing U Banter has nominated ECP 1867. He says Kid Galahad is at 130 now. He will beat the brakes off of Shakur Stevenson. Okay, then. We'll have the brakes firmly on, I would imagine, if that fight ever takes place. Can you imagine? Audley again. He says, for someone who's rubbed shoulders with royalty prime ministers, every celebrity you can think of, I think you're very misguided, bud, he says to interviewer extraordinaire James English. I'm on a different level, even today, the king. English says, no disrespect to Audley, but I only interview world champions, so I don't think you make the cut. Wes has nominated him for that one.
He can fuck off as well, James English. Feral teeth wanker, him. Fucking hell, man. Toy want to be. Jesus Christ.
Hey, a quality burn is a quality burn. Good job, Jim. Good job.
Good old Jim going in on Value of the Week.
Where was all Audley's energy that he has on Twitter?
Aye.
When the fucking fella from Strictly Come Dancing was punking him on Big Brother, remember him?
Somebody put in one of the comments, Rob, leave Audley alone. He's never hurt anyone.
That's quality burn.
Good old Ord. Yeah, it's continued here. Brian King nominating this one. James English said, failed to get a boxer on. All these world champions, Joe Calzaghe, Josh Taylor, Tony Bellew, Carl Frampton, Josh Warrington, Anthony Crolla, and Lyndon Arthur. Not sure when Lyndon Arthur won the world title.
The thing is, though, Crawler's is actually spelled Any-T.
Any Tony. Any Tony can get it.
Even if it's a $1 Crawler, you never know, baby. Lyndon Arthur getting promoted to world champion without me even knowing it, by the way. What a fucking guy.
It's not Tony anymore, Andy. It's Any Tony, mate. Tony's dead.
Tony mates.
Just be glad that your phone doesn't autocorrect Anthony to Alimony.
Maybe this guy was doing the WBC rankings when they were giving the belt to Haney. He's just fucking up and everybody to world champion fucking status, James English.
Well, he's forgetting that Audley was a WBF champion, Andy. We saw it with our own eyes on BBC. Beat Richel Hessisia, the Dutch Sonny Liston.
Yep, he did that, mate. But on BBC as well, free view TV, millions of people. But no seriousness for a minute here, right?
Not to be confused with the Dutch Sonny Lisbon. Yes.
So Audley Harrison wins gold that year. It was Sydney. Amir Khan then goes and wins silver in Athens. These two were actually the catalysts for the money to get spent for the British Olympians in future years. This is why we've been generating all these medals recently in that. So I know Audley has basically shot the bed as a pro, but his legacy is pretty clear at the same time as well. So even though it's not been great, he has left a wee bit of legacy. And listen, who will ever forget him fight with one shoulder, right? One arm, basically, sorry. And he's getting schooled the entire fight, and you're thinking to yourself, he's going to fold at any moment. He's not got a chin. He's not got the heart. At any moment, he's going to get fucking taken out. And what does he do? He turns it right on its head. Fucking left hook for the gods, man, and fucking ice. Was it Danny Williams?
Michael Sprott, I think.
Michael Sprott.
Fucking murdered him, by the way. What a knockout. So give him his due, man.
Yeah, I gave him his due. I bought the fucking pay-per-view for him and Hay. That was what I got for giving him his due.
Was that the last one you bought?
Yeah, that was the end of it. That was the end. Well, no, I probably that was the last one I bought and invited people over because I was getting stitched up. I was getting stitched up paying for all the fights, like a lads rocking over, like. And then when that happened, I was just like, oh fuck this, like I'll just pay for them in private, keep it to myself.
I don't like people either. I hear you.
Lord Audley. Kill boxing on BBC, but yeah, I don't mind Audley, to be honest. He's a character. Brian King nominating here Amir Khan, talking about how he ended up fighting Canelo Alvarez. He said, when Oscar De La Hoya called me, I couldn't say no, Khan says. Maybe I'm too brave for my own good. Floyd Mayweather was being a pussy and wouldn't fight me, so I said, cool, let's do it.
Yes, Amir.
I love that mentioned Floyd every fucking day for about 7 months solid, man.
Stop, man. It was Amir Khan bingo. Every day he was mentioning Floyd Mayweather and Styles make fights. That was Amir's fucking during that 7 month period. Yeah, Floyd Mayweather. Dominic asked me to try and do an Amir Khan impression before, didn't he? I can't do it though.
I love that I saw that fight in person. I love that fucking right hand. It's so fucking vile. I love it.
I know I used to hit Donnie up with it all the time, but I remember that fight kind of coming out the blue as such, and that, but Floyd being a pussy. I remember Floyd coming out saying to him, look, if you can beat Errol Spence, then I'll fight you. I
don't think Floyd really wanted I think part of Floyd didn't really want the trouble of Khan though. there was probably, like, I have no doubt Floyd would have beaten him, but he wasn't in a hurry to make it all the same. And I think he kind of spited Amir by fighting Maidana in the rematch, didn't he? Because a lot of people were saying like the last run at Showtime was going to be Khan, Maidana, somebody else, and then fucking Pacquiao. Like, but he just decided to give Maidana a rematch and then fight Pacquiao and then give his last Showtime fight to Andre Berto.
He finally got it after all those years.
They clowned him
of living in poverty, of only making $1 million to fight Freddie Hernandez.
That's a brilliant clip, by the way. I know we're going on a sidebar because it's Spell You of the Week, but did you ever watch the footage of Berto talking about what it's like to fight Floyd? No. He says, like, during the fight, like, he's looking up at the fucking clock and all, like, and he's just watching, like, you're looking at him, and like you're expecting him to fucking. You think he's doing nothing, and then he hits you with something, then he moves around, then he wraps you up, and then the next minute you're looking at the clock and you're coming out of the round going, did I win that round or did he fucking win that round? I don't know what happened. Like, it's brilliant.
That was a good flashback, actually, Andy. You give me the Asylum flashback. Donny, that's right. Donny was a massive Khan fan. I'd completely forgotten about that.
Mate,
it was one of those weird obsessions like Gabe with Hellenius. I'd forgotten all about that.
I talked to him the other night. I talked to him the other night, and he said that he is definitely going to be on here following the Khan Brook fight. But I actually assume that's only if Khan wins. Otherwise, I imagine he'll find an excuse to not be here.
Good old Donny. We wish him well. The next one, Andy here, nominating Gervonta Davis. Gervonta put up a post, I think it was one of his side pieces, as a baby. Ivan Redcatch congratulated him on the birth. Davis responded, as you do, with, fuck you.
I love that simplicity, by it. It was beautiful.
Absolutely brilliant.
So then Redcatch went off on one, didn't he? Put up a picture of a fat Davis and we're going, you fucking shit bitch and all this.
You know what? If you ever come across the Billy Connolly video on YouTube, right, it's fucking funny as fuck when he's like mentioning it or he's trying to explain what fuck you actually means. He says fuck you is a great word. It says because it can't be mixed up in any language. Everybody across the world knows what fuck you means. It doesn't mean oh you fuck off. It means fuck you. It doesn't mean fuck you. It means fuck you. That's what it means. So you also walk up to an Arab or to a Spaniard and that didn't matter. See, if I said fuck you to them, they fucking knew they meant fuck off. Fuck you. No. So that's what it meant.
No negotiation needed there.
I wonder if him and Broner have enough children to have a fucking football team between them. And I mean, y'all's football.
Proper football.
Yeah.
To fight the Russells. They could fight the Russells, son.
That'd be the fucking worst soccer match in history.
Broner's old man can fight Russell's old man.
I think Russell's old man would have to play goalie.
Might have to be at a catch weight.
Oh dear. Here's another one for you, Andy.
Go to hell.
The reason Kiko won was because Galahad shouldn't have been at the weight. Nothing to do with catching those right hands. Is this a proper interview?
He's a boxing scene, mate. So he's basically saying that he got knocked out purely because of the weight. I was bossing the fight along A-lines and that. That was a simple. That's all he said. It was the main reason why he lost the fight because of the weight. It was not to do with the right hands. That fucking see him get fucking starch counting sheep. So that's what it was. It was just purely the weight, gov.
Yeah, of course. Better Q has nominated Michael Ewajobi Ladajobi. Some Jobies flying in there. He said Toney handled Usyk better than AJ, but he lost his cardio towards the later end of the fight. He would do well in a rematch, I think, and value against Usyk. No, to be honest, Mr. Ladajobi,
we all want to see it.
We all want to see it. But this was the Bellew that was fighting his absolute max just to stay competitive. And we saw what happened, mate.
I've put people asleep, mate. Who's he ever put asleep? I know I'm probably going to look stupid when that comes out, but who's he ever knocked unconscious, mate?
Where's he ever fought, mate? Where's he ever? It's that long word, isn't it?
You fucking rat. There's Toney. Here we are, talking to legends of the Asylum. Christopher Lovejoy is setting up an OnlyFans so you all can watch my fight live on February the 11th. Hashtag let's get it.
Is he going to have people sucking his titties?
He's going to get his knob out in the ring, and
with tits like that, man, he's going to make a fortune on OnlyFans. Fucking hell.
Well, if anyone pays for it on OnlyFans, someone's getting fucked anyway. I don't know.
Here, Andy, who did it better? Lovejoy or Ebbs?
Probably Ebbs, mate.
Hey, woo! Phoenix.
That's Ebbs there, Rob, with Dennis Taylor, snooker legend.
Yeah, and there's a what you call it? There's an intercom going off in the back going, "Welcome to the Phoenix Club."
Oh dear, good old Lovejoy. Love a bit of Lovejoy. Here we are. He's back begging again. Maris Brady. He's becoming one of the most embarrassing in boxing, to be honest. Every time he puts these fights, it's probably Cali, isn't it? Putting him up to this, Andy. Happy birthday, Jake Paul. There's no chance in hell Jake Paul is ever going to fight him. He's making a show of himself now, isn't he?
Ducking Morris Bradis, isn't he?
Bradis going to be really popular in former Soviet republics, so.
Yeah. Bradis and fucking Cali clearly on the snort these days, not man fucking begging Jake Paul. But Jake Paul, man, you know, ducking Maris Bradis, what a coward.
Jake Paul, the future of boxing.
Yep. £40 million a year, man.
Yeah, I'll try for Logan first.
Oh, Logan. Gary Logan, maybe. Here's Isaac Warrior Lowe getting nominated. He's having a go at Keyboard Warriors. He says, too many Keyboard Warrior on this instead of going on Twitter writing shit. Not just fight me, obviously. It shows what you are, kid. See you soon. Well, dear, I'm not quite sure who's calling out there, old Isaac, but somebody's going to get it.
I think he's calling out Manny Pacquiao.
I need to go dig out my thesaurus, mate, to go and fucking find out what he's trying to find, what he's trying to say here. Fuck me.
One of the saddest days will be on Twitter when he gets someone else, like a company, to write his tweets for him or something.
What the fuck?
Great buddy.
I mean, you've actually got to read that about 4 times just to try and get a semblance understanding of what he's trying to say.
I went cross-eyed for a second, literally, in the most fucking literal sense. I looked at it, and it all went fucking weird, and then it came back. Like, this guy's going to give me I think I stroked.
What's that? Last few here. Here he is. Digging him out.
What's he doing here?
The missing man, Toney. Always great to see the Khan Dental to get my new mouth guard sorted and teeth looked after. Thanks, doctor, as always. # Khan Dental. Toney going to the British Dental Clinic here to get his national done.
Considering how beefy he's looking now, the teeth need to be looked after, mate. Oh, the food are shoved in there. Fucking hell, man.
I think he might be able to get that rematch at heavyweight with Usyk, after all.
You fucking need to fight super heavyweight at that rate, man. That size of fucking my chin's in a Chinese phone book. Look.
His own contracts pay well, obviously. Fucking hell. Wouldn't see Maya Tama get herself in that condition.
Oh, mate. See what I hear about Anthony being on the zone and that. I keep going back to when he told Gervonta Davis that he needs a platform, mates. You need to come over to the zone. You know, it's fucking the zone compared to Showtime. What the fuck is he smoking?
Gervonta, they said to Gervonta Davis, Tony Bellew says you should be on the zone, and Gervonta said, fuck you.
Fuck you.
And Danny Young sends in our final one of the week. Here we are. James Toney, strive for greatness. 12th round coffee, dark roast. James Toney has his own coffee going on now. Get on it, Rob.
Lights out coffee. Hell, man.
They make you slur your words in that.
They clearly found a picture somewhere between, like, right after he fought Dave Tapiri.
Fucking hell. Who's the marketing genius that fucking brought this idea to James Toney? It's highly going to be the next Foreman grill. Is it James Toney coffee? Fuck's sake.
To be fair, considering his conditioning, he'd had a hell of a motor. Maybe there's something to this.
Right, so we just had one come in live and exclusive, actually. Let me see if I can cut it very quickly from Shuey. He said a good painting of Floyd Mayweather, Bellew of the Week. And it is. Let's have a look here. We love a good painting and a good drawing here. Boo Ying has my painting of legend Lennox Lewis.
I thought that was Clarissa Seals, man.
Nah, man, look at the hair.
Too much hair.
It's not got a helicopter landing pad at the top there, mate. Here, Steve, you got the Herkovich one yet?
He's fighting on a helicopter landing pad soon, Floyd.
Coming to that, Andy, don't worry. That's all the visible ones, the photographic ones we have. But Filip Hergovich was talking to one of the interviewers who do the rounds, and he had some interesting things to say about Alan Babic as we cut here.
One of the men I want to get your thoughts on is a fellow Croatian, Alan Babic. He's called for a fight with yourself for a long time. What have you made of his career so far, and do you think you will ever cross paths?
No, he's just a retarded guy who wants attention.
See how his face changed by when we mentioned Babic's name? He's like, that motherfucker.
Reminded me of that scene with Borat years ago when he said to somebody, your man's like, I'm retired. He was like, you are retired.
That's right. Oh, good old Kurgovich. And shout out to the interviewer. I need more accents like that in the interviewing scene. Not sure who it was. What are you saying there, Matty?
He just retarded the guy who wanted attention.
I'm not saying anything, man. It's killing me over. It's fun.
Right.
Should stop letting Buns translate for him. Fuck's sake.
No Bunsey additions this week, unfortunately. We did have a Toney one, as we called out.
Saying that though, sorry mate, see if Babbitt keeps fighting the way he's fighting, mate, he's going to be retarded at some point, isn't he? Fucking hell, man. That's good. Aye, hey, as fucking Michael Thompson said there, Matt, that needs to go into the fucking intro, surely to fuck.
Oh yeah, I'll try and cut that if I can for the next one. I'll try and cut that one. That's all the ones I've got. Andy, any from you?
Yes, Edward Hearn, unfortunate again. Eddie's just fucking grifting again, mate. So Bob Arum's basically throwing hand grenades there, left, right and centre this week, and that's saying that he's wanting to see Kambosos in Australia would be his first choice for Lomachenko. He's then saying, for example, that nobody knows who Haney is in Australia. Kambosos Lomachenko is a much bigger fight. To which I think Devin Haney then came out and says, Lomachenko's had his shot and all that type of thing, so he's fucking feeling slighted. But Eddie's coming out saying that it's a bigger fight because it's a full unification. Meanwhile, Mauricio Suleiman said a few weeks ago that it's not a unification fight because Kambosos is the undisputed champion. So David Haney, man, he's got no designation. You are just shout out of luck, man. Just get in line. Just get your fucking place. So maybe multiple ones there actually. One for Eddie and probably one for Devin Haney actually, to be honest. These fighters who've been kind of like being dropped for WBC rankings, namely Conor Benn, come out with his statement. It's the reason why he was signed up to the WBC drug testing program. I loved how he signed off his statement though. Conor the Destroyer Benn. So clearly Eddie Hearn's been at work there, typing up that statement for him as well. Lee McGregor's been dropped as well. Mauricio Lara. So maybe see some changes there. As I says as well, what about the boxing brain himself, Ben Guardiola Davison, trying to Michael Jackson moonwalk back. His comments that about the UK laziest coaches now says, I don't think I actually said UK's laziest coaches. Now, if you go back and listen to it, I think I was talking about the world. No, mate, just shut up, man. Just shut up. Just stop it. Just stop looking for cameras. Stop trying to fucking come off with you. You're a trainer. Just stick in the fucking background like Daddy Lomachenko does, right? Shut your fucking mouth and let your fighters speak. Nobody gives a shit about what you got to say or what you got to do, all that type of stuff. Just shut the fuck up and piss off. That's all you got to do.
And stop putting down, triangular
egotistical.
cones. Stop putting triangular cones down, handing out high-vis vests for your warm-ups.
I guess all I've got this week, mate, to be honest with you. It's been quite quiet.
Good stuff. Thanks very much, Andy. Nothing from Aussie. Anything from you, Matty?
I had something, but I forgot it because that Isaac Lowe thing made me lose some brain cells.
Okay. Rob, anything from you?
Yeah, evening, Ed. How are you, mate? Was it who runs the Boxing Ireland Twitter or the Irish Boxing Twitter account? They have an interview with Eddie anyway, and I saw a clip of it, and he was asking him about why he doesn't bring more fights to Dublin. He signed a lot of Belfast fighters, but he hasn't signed any fighters from down south. And Eddie diplomatically swerved that answer like fucking Neo in the Matrix, man. He was just fucking leaning back going, oh yeah, well, I don't know if we have that many ticket sellers. Just say you can't have fights in Ireland because fellas will shoot each other at the fucking press conference, okay? The Irish fucking government will not sanction fights here because there's a threat of people losing their lives via machine gun fire. That's why we can't have fights here. Just fucking say it, man. It's nothing to do with the talent pool down here. Like, fucking hell. Great bunch of lads everywhere involved in the sport, by the way.
Yeah, exactly.
It's getting weird with Floyd Ox staring at me.
We better get rid of Floyd Ox quickly then. Right, okay, so interesting week. We've had a few good ones. Ebony knocking around with Dennis Taylor. We've had Audley going off on one. We've had Ben Davison. We've had the James Toney Coffee. We've had Isaac Lowe, Maurice Bradis, Chris Lovejoy, bit of Kid Galahad as well. I think I'm going to go Matty for Hrgovic myself. I like that little short, sharp comment. Straight to the point. Who are you going for, Matthew?
He's retarded.
Yeah, that fucked me up something bad. You got to give it to him.
2 for Hrgovic. Andy, what about you?
He's retarded, mate. Yeah, without doubt. Big Philip. That's probably his biggest win in his professional career so far, by the way. Calling Babic a retard. Fucking down for that one.
Rob, who you got?
I quite like Tank Davis's response to Red Catch. Simple and plain. Fuck you. And Red Catch's response to fucking Davis was priceless as well. That's worth digging up. Like, brilliant, very good.
You gotta love leaving these nuggets behind for his children in the digital age to let him know how much he cares about them.
Fuck you. Oh, brilliant.
What's the beef there between you two? Anybody know?
Oh, it's been going on for ages. Red Catch is always beefing with someone. He used to have a beef with Hank Lundy, do you remember? He done the dodgy ones, didn't he, against Lundy?
Remember, did he not get knocked out after off a Mexican wearing a set of shorts that resembled a fucking brick wall?
That was something.
That was a Mexican knocking out Rod Salka.
Rod Salka.
It was Rod Salka, was it?
Rod Salka.
Legitimate
Danny Garcia, fucking opponent, Rod Salka.
I saw Red Catch fight live once in the Barclays Centre against. He got schooled by Tevin Farmer, and he was hanging around outside, and he looked like quite the character actually. Didn't he bite Danny Garcia as well recently? So yeah, I think he is a bit of a.
Good on him.
He's been in some really entertaining fights, and he beat the shit out of like Devin Alexander or someone like that, knocked him out.
Breaking news, lads. I don't know how much true it is because it is the Guard reporting it, but apparently Anthony Joshua has to accept £15 million step-aside fee for Tyson Fury or Usyk fight.
No way.
50 million.
No way. 15 or 50?
That to me would probably suggest that fight's going to go to Saudi Arabia because there's nobody going to fucking pay him 15 million, man.
Go to the Middle East. Here we go again.
The thing is,
fucking ring walks are going to be 4 hours long for this fight, aren't they? Fuck's sake, by the time they get out to the ring.
I want to see Tyson Fury on a camel. I'm just fucking saying.
It's not going to be Eddie fucking speaking to the Saudi Arabians. He's pissed them off big style that he might end up getting fucking, what happened to that journalist again? Get fucking put in a cough. That could happen to Eddie, by the way, if you're fucking about, boy. Yeah, you know.
Maybe they're gonna make Wilder against Joshua to fill the time.
So what? So Joshua obviously is not ready. Like obviously he doesn't fucking fancy the
He's ready, mate. He's not ready for a rematch.
He's a sea
so all
lion.
this like smoking mirrors over the last. That's interesting. I mean, for the boxing, we might as well speak on it briefly. For the boxing public and the boxing nutters messenger group, this is great news, isn't it? Like, we'd much rather have fucking.
Let's even get some quotes out of this, to be honest with you, because it's no any good without any quotes.
Unification, and it keeps the AJ fight alive. I'm all for it. Like, absolutely, all for it. Is there a rematch clause? What's the fucking terms and conditions? What's the? Eddie did say, didn't he, in an interview, expect the unexpected in the next few days. Like so.
This is pish. Gad's got no quotes in here, but it's like no quotes, Powell fucking piece. This shit. I mean, there's literally zero in this. This is just pish. This is just shit, man. He's took an article. He's took comments from fucking Bob Arum saying during the week that it's a total mess, all that type of shit. 80-20 splits. There is no quote whatsoever about Joshua saying that I'm accepting 50. Nothing. The only quote here comes from Bob Arum saying everybody in boxing wants to see the undisputed fight between Tyson and Usyk. I want to see it just as any fan. So that is the fight that we're trying to make. So where are you getting the 15 million quote for? Bob? Nah. There's fuck all else there to fucking state, man. It's just
that's a lot of money to do nothing.
I just wish they would just fucking announce something soon because we need to. I don't know. Eddie's trying to fucking play it up and try and get the belt fragmented again or whatever, and that isn't that. But WBC need to come out there.
Could be something to it though. When you think about it, it's the fucking 20 whatever of January. Like we would have expected these two fights to take place in March, both of them. Like that's not going to happen.
April was the date that Eddie was talking about for the rematch for Joshua.
Right. So but like Norm, doesn't he say you need like 6 months to build a pay-per-view and all that? Like,
well, this is the thing. How the fuck are you going to build this, man? I mean,
they're willing to invest a lot of money to build up goodwill and tourism before they host the World Cup and have dozens of soccer players pass out and possibly die on the 130-degree pitch in the sweltering Dubai fucking summertime where it's going to be 115 in the air. What isn't it artificial fucking turf there that they're probably doing there?
I think there's a lot of hashtag man down anyways at the moment, isn't there? In the soccer. Anyway, let's not fucking go there. But I think it's a bigger fight than AJ Usyk 2, and it's a bigger fight than Fury White, at least. I'll be all up for it anyway. I'm up for it. Good on the guard for breaking this shit out.
It just shows you though, man. What the fuck? I mean, if say it is real, that it is true that they're having talks and that, you know. I just think about Joshua. What's he going to be doing? Is he going to be sitting on the fence for whatever? I mean, who's he going to fight next? And by the way, the other thing as well about this rematch clause with Usyk is it got an expiry date?
They were saying end of February, weren't they?
So if he doesn't sign it, then that means Usyk's free and clear.
Right, yeah, we'll probably keep that one for next week then, seeing as there'll be probably very little to talk about. I'll just congratulate Filip Hrgović, by the way, for finally winning a title, Bellew of the Week for episode 458. Congratulations to you. Also, shout out to the Super Chatters before I hand it back to Matty, James Windsor, a bumper effort from Des, a double trouble from Joe Burns and Chris Burns, who both threw in a couple each, and Michael Thompson and Michael McElway. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Steve. And I'd like to thank Andy and Rob as well for coming on. Next week, remember, we will be here to review these fights that we are so looking forward to. The cruiserweight fight is going to be exceptional, and we will be previewing the Williams against Eubank Jr. fight, as well as the Keith Thurman against Mario Barrios pay-per-view, which is going to be in the U.S. on Saturday night. So until then, y'all have a great week ahead. Stay happy, stay healthy, and we will see you next week.
We'll never forget.
I think that's good happening.
Go to animals!
We want to be honest, yeah?
Crying like a little bitch. I've never met a fucking swank that can fight me.
I fell asleep. I fell asleep.
You're a fucking bum, you're a fucking asshole.
Rumpo fucking Steltskin.
But allegedly, Oscar Rivas has failed a test.
7-year aim. 7-year aim. I will fucking smash fucking you.
I hope you fucking die.
Be safe.
I love boxing sounds, as simple as that.